Welcome, everybody, to Week 5 of the Miniature Market Narrative League. Week 5 is being themed as Tempest. We will be playing the game type Tempest of War this week, a fan favorite here at Miniature Market, definitely one that our players have hotly requested for this league, and I was generous enough to allow them to play it out this time. So for Tempest of War, it is a very unique game type that uses a set of objective cards that will be cycled throughout the game. In most games of 40K, what happens is when the players read their rules sheets and they read their mission briefing, they will have very set objectives that will be locked on the battlefield that will be worth certain amounts of points. Maybe it'll be capturing, defending a point. Maybe they'll need to destroy something, but they'll usually know up front exactly what they need to do and how they need to do it. Tempest of War is a little bit different. In Tempest of War, the players actually have a deck of cards which determine what objectives they're going to go after each round. So they won't actually know what to go after until the round starts. Each round, the players will draw cards, which will have their objectives, and then they can discard those cards at the end of the round if it's something that's not necessarily viable in that round. And so in that way, players have to remain flexible as they go into the game. This week, we've got Matt Fear's Adeptus Custodes that he is going to be playing versus Jack McMullen's Leagues of Votann, which we've seen already once in this league during Week 2. But this time, we're going to be playing about double the size of Week 2. So you're going to see a much larger army on the field this game. The largest points that we've done so far, 2,000. In a game of Warhammer 40K, for those of you who aren't aware, a 2,000-point game is generally considered to be the gold standard. Not too big, not too small. It is the average size game, and we're going to see that tonight as the game goes out. The players right now are just kind of going over the final discussions for the game, going over key points of the armies. Leagues of Votann are actually one of the newest armies in 40K, so they're just going to kind of hash out those initial rules so that they can make sure that they have a clean, quick game. Since we're playing at 4,000 or at 2,000 points, it will be generally a little bit longer game than what you've seen in the previous weeks. With that being said, we're going to go over and take a look at the two armies that we have today, starting with Matt Fear's Adeptus Custodes. The Adeptus Custodes are generally what is known as a super elite army. They are the super elitist in the game. As you can see, though we're playing at 2,000 points, it's actually a fairly small force compared to what you would have seen in another week. Again, that's going to be largely because the Adeptus Custodes generally operate with fewer models that are very, very strong and elite. They generally are known for strong melee combat and are a little sluggish, which is why he's got those bikers in the back to help offset some of that. After talking to Matt at the beginning of the game, actually, he's got a pretty interesting Custodes list, one you're not going to see necessarily every day. And this list is not typically something you'd see in 40K because of how detachments work. Detachments allow for players or require players to field certain amounts of units in order to bring them in a legal game. But with the Arcs of Omen rules, which have been brought out recently by Games Workshop, detachments have been made a lot more flexible. So Matt has actually opted to run 6 character units in this list, which is very atypical. Most of the time, you're only going to run between 2 and 4 characters, and he has opted for 6. His main character is going to be Trajan Valeris, who is the Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes. He is their leader. He is the main man, as it were. Trajan is going to be accompanied by a Custodian Blade Champion, which is a very heavy-hitting melee hero unit who's going to charge in and probably wreak a whole lot of melee damage. He's got a couple different shield captains as well, one in Terminator armor and one in the standard Custodes armor. And then I believe he also has a shield captain on bike back there as well. So we're going to see pretty conventional Custodes aside from those 6 characters that he's playing. One of the other things that is kind of interesting that he's fielding today is not something you see every day in a more conventional match, and that's actually the Custodian Sagittarium Guard. Generally, when you field a Custodian list, they have what are known as the Custodian Guard. They're sort of your meat and potatoes infantry unit. The Sagittarium Guard is actually one that you have to order special pieces from Forge World, which is a kind of offshoot company from Games Workshop that produces specialty items. And the Sagittarium Guard are actually a shooting-focused unit, which will kind of help offset so much of the melee potential that he's going to have there. So he's got the Sagittarium Guards, and then he also has the Alaris Terminators, which are going to be his big melee powerhouse units, rounding out his army. After talking to Matt at the beginning of the game, he's really hoping the last couple weeks, just due to the slow speed of the Custodes, he's been locked in his deployment zone for the first couple of weeks, so he's hoping to have a breakout early on so that he doesn't get just totally trapped in that deployment zone and have to fight his way out. So I believe he's going to be playing pretty aggressive today. But once again, that is Matt Fear's Custodes. With that, we're going to switch over to Jack McMullen's Leagues of Votann. We're seeing this army for the second time, except it is much bigger, as we were playing double the points from our Week 2 game. For those of you who tuned into that game, you will see a lot of returning units. You will, of course, see the Hearthkin Guard, which are the meat and potatoes unit. You've got the Pathfinders, who are those biker units, giving him mobility. And then additionally, you've got those buggies as well that he fielded in the first game. However, this time he also has the Hecaton Land Fortress, also known as the Big Ol' Garbage Truck. The Hecaton Land Fortress is a big, meaty, tough unit with a whole lot of guns. So we're going to definitely see that guy in action. Next to the two buggies, you'll actually see another new unit this week. You're going to see the Berserkers that he has chosen to opt this time with those purple axes. So it's going to be kind of an interesting matchup to see because he's playing a pretty well-rounded army in general. He's got some mobility with those Pathfinder bikers. He's, of course, got the Meat and Potatoes Hearthguard, which are, primarily a shooting unit, but do have the capacity to defend themselves in melee. He's got the heavy troopers. Their name escapes me right now. He's got the heavy troopers, which are going to be able to lay out some really heavy weapons fire. And then he's got those berserkers as well, which are going to be dedicated solely to melee. So it's going to be interesting to see how he decides to use those in this game, just because he's going to be fighting such a melee-focused army with his well-rounded force. So that will kind of that will sort of round things off, with the exception of his hero. I think he's playing a Call this time. Last week he played a champion as his HQ as his leader. This time he's playing a Call, which is a much more well-rounded, not necessarily dedicated solely to melee unit, more of a kind of all-around leadership unit. So that's where we're at. The players right now are actually going after the random rule, determining what is going to be the wild card effect for this game. So in Tempest of War, at the beginning of the game, before you even choose your objectives and before you start placing objective markers down, they actually decide a wild card effect that will go into play during this game. Sometimes it might be that they're fighting at night, which prevents their shooting ability. Sometimes there might be a wind that will actually move the objective tokens around. I'm going to go and check in with them here in a second and see what ended up as the wild card effect for this round.
Okay, so apparently for this to claim an objective, it has to be an action.
You guys end up with the wild card.
I'll claim the battlefield.
We're just doing the mission right now.
Okay. So when I get deployment zones, just figure it out so that we can do.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's.
You can pick this one this time.
We're gonna go this one here and search and destroy. So we're gonna get them all measured out. I'm gonna use some of these dice here. These will also be the dice I use to count my wounds. For most multi-wound, I'll count up.
I count down.
Just set them down flat. In
Flat, okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think that's the vote.
It's like you're gonna move up.
So
9 inches from the middle.
this is the center.
That's good. You guys, you looking for a big fan?
So how was downtime?
Terrain good as is. Do you want to shift it around a little bit? I mean,
All right, so the players have actually determined their deployment zones first, as well as their primary mission. That's another part of Tempest of War, is though the overall mission type is Tempest of War. They don't actually know what the mission objectives will be specifically until they draw that card at the beginning of the round. So the primary mission for this game is claim the battlefield. At the second, third, and fourth battle rounds, during each player's command phase, they will score victory points. If they control one or more objective marker, they'll score 5. If they control two or more objective markers, they'll score an additional 5. And then they will score 2 victory points for each objective marker that is currently claimed by their army. In the 5th battle round, the player who had the first turn scores victory points at the end of their command phase, as described for the above condition. And the player with the second turn scores victory points for the same conditions as well. Here's where things get a little bit different from typical 40K. They are playing with what is known colloquially as sticky objectives. So during this battle round, they do not actually have to remain on the objective to maintain it. They actually can take a banner to claim the objective so they can move on, claim it for themselves, and then move off the objective and still score points, even if they are not necessarily on the objective specifically. So this allows them to either play more aggressively or more defensively and respond to their opponent without necessarily having to directly always be focusing on keeping their models on the objectives. So that's going to be one of the kind of interesting wildcard factors in this game. And then their deployment zones as well. They are going to be deploying diagonally from each other. Again, something that comes up in Tempest of War is that you have to be prepared for any kind of deployment zone to pop up on the board.
So, no in transport either.
not in trans. Ooh.
They have to be on the field.
I'm liking it.
So the players have also just drawn their mission rule. This is going to be that wild card effect that's going to go into effect during this game. So this mission rule is secret intel. In this mission, a player only receives their Battleforged CP bonus, which is how they get their command points, which they can spend on stratagems. At the start of their command phase, if their warlord is on the battlefield, or if they are embarked within a transport model that is on the battlefield. So in the earlier rounds, this is going to be kind of an interesting thing because their warlords will start the game on the battlefield. But hypothetically, if a warlord goes down during the game, that player is then no longer able to actually score or gain any command points, which can put them at a severe disadvantage. Losing your warlord in 40K already can be pretty devastating. In fact, in some secondary objectives, and I believe some of the objectives within the Tempest of War deck are actually involved around killing the warlord. It is typically known as slay the warlord. So further punishment for the players if they're unable to keep that warlord safe in this game. Definitely going to be interesting. Seeing that Matt is playing more of a Hero Hammer list this time around with his 6 characters. Curious to see how much he's going to go. Curious to see how much priority he's going to give to his warlord, especially now that he can't score those command points versus those other 6 characters. I'm really curious to see how aggressively he plays with those various characters that he's going to be using. So definitely interesting to see.
Alright, I guess I will be attacker. Okay. Okay. So as attacker, I'll play first. Or, yeah, I'll go play first. Yeah, I'll play first. One touch base. base with you. So these guys are on these heightened bases just for show. Are you okay? Like he's here, he's technically below it, or
Yeah, that's
okay. I just want to cover base because I know that came up in another game where it's like, well, I can see him. It's like, well, the base is supposed to be this size.
this is a fun game. We don't.
Yeah, no, this is.
I think technically my bikes are higher too because I did not do that
I'm gonna
annoying.
start with my first unit of Sag. Right on that objective.
All right, and we're going to be moving into the deployment phase. Looks like, I believe Matt is going to go ahead and start deployment for us here today. Oh, nope, actually it looks like, yep. So he's already deployed some of his Custodes behind that cover, and then Jack is responding by putting those Pathfinders in on the far edge of the board. It's going to be interesting, but it's one of the things that is always interesting when you do the corner deployments and deploy diagonally as opposed to kind of conventional, conventional across the table deployment, is that it ends up restricting you and clumping you up into like one concentrated area. Does actually look like, I'm going to check in with the players real quick just to make sure, because it actually looks like the deployment zones might be a little uneven. I'm going to pop in real quick just to make sure that everything's measured properly on this one.
So I got 2 units of Sag. I'm going to put down my Wardens over here. It should be, yeah, you're going all the way to the end. Yeah,
I was gonna say, I was like, man, you're like really locked in there.
I guess that means we have to heal too.
Yeah, so it would actually.
So as the old adage says, measure twice, cut once. After going back in, we did realize that one of the deployment zones was a little smaller than it was supposed to be, so making a few adjustments there. That is one of the nice things with the Games Workshop boards that they have that we're using in this game, is that everything's pretty well pre-cut to game specific. So what's nice is those seam lines where the boards connect actually determines your diagonals. So pretty easy to go there. You just need to make sure that you're measuring properly from the center. So Jack's got a little more room to maneuver his troops as he starts placing them down, which is definitely going to be a benefit for him. You never want to be so locked up in your deployment zone that you can't move, so definitely glad that we caught that one before we went forward.
I guess.
Maybe breachable for those?
Yeah.
If you want to like put a unit inside, you can have like a token on top or whatever.
Like to remind everybody, if you like what you see here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the YouTube channel. That way you can get all the miniature market content as we go forward. We are entering the last week of our 40K League starting next week, so definitely tune back in for when we do that. And then we will be having a bonus week as well to kind of round out the storyline that our players are going through. To recap, everybody who has been following along and listening, so these players on this week, the theme of the week is Tempest, as you probably saw from the YouTube thumbnail there. And at this point in the storyline, the players are making the final preparations to fire their super weapon, the Soul Thread, in an attempt to close the rift that has been opened up in the Malfactus as this powerful chaos entity is about to emerge. And as this is happening, there are psychic ripples going on out that have essentially scrambled orders and thrown all of the armies into chaos. So they are desperately trying to reconvene their armies, take the last few strategic assets before they enter this decisive battle that they're going to be entering into in this final week. So that's sort of the storyline and the context for what they're doing today and why we chose Tempest. We really thought that the Tempest of War rules would be really fun to add that kind of chaotic flair since their troops are scrambling in the story. We thought it would be fun to have them scramble a little bit on the battlefield as well.
No retreat, no surrender. Achieve at the end of your opponent's next turn, or at the end of the battle, no unit of your army fail morale.
My bad.
All right, looks like Matt has got his Custodes pretty well behind cover. That's one thing you'll especially see in these larger games. players never actually know necessarily what turn they're going to go. That's something that's usually determined right before the game starts, but right after deployment is done. So there's sort of two philosophies that players might follow when they begin their deployment. They might put themselves out in the open in hopes that they're going to get a good line of sight on their opponent, or, as it looks like both players are doing in this case, they're really trying to deploy fairly conservatively so that if they don't get first turn, they'll have plenty hidden behind cover to protect their units. So that's why you can see that they're hiding behind those boxes and barricades and ruined structures all over.
Okay. If it's 5 or 6.
Yeah, so no retreat, no surrender. As long as
We've got that Blade Champion hiding deep within some of those crates, so definitely one that we hope that no one forgets about. Every once in a while, you'll have that one character that you hide too well, and then no one gets to use the character or shoot at him. I know a long time ago I was playing a game with my Tempest Scions, and I was fielding an Imperial Assassin, and I forgot about him for like 2 rounds because I had him positioned like high up in a tower, hidden by a bunch of debris and rubble, and I straight up forgot to shoot for the first 2 rounds of combat, which is awful because it's a very expensive unit on the battlefield and can deal a ton of damage to character units. So definitely let's hope that Matt remembers to pull that Blade Champion out from underneath that crate so that we can see him do some mean melee. All right, Matt's bringing in those Custodian bikers. It's kind of interesting. The Custodian bike has sort of become a staple of the Custodian army. They are an absolute pain in the butt to remove from the battlefield. They have a ton of damage potential, whether it's to a vehicle or whether it's to infantry. So definitely going to see a lot of use out of that. But with that, Matt's actually done with his deployment, so it goes back to Jack. He's going to be able to deploy everything that he has at this point. So we can see him putting that Hecaton land fortress down in his back line. Definitely interested to see how that plays out on the battlefield. This is the first time I've actually had the opportunity to see or play against the Hecaton land fortress. I've had a couple of different games against the Votann, but never at this size. So very excited to see what it ends up doing this game. And then you can see that Jack's still got a couple models off the board there. Not sure.
Yeah, they're in the.
He's going to be putting those in Deep Strike or not. It does look like Matt is actually going to be putting his Terminators in Deep Strike, which is a pretty typical move. Anytime you have a unit that can Deep Strike, especially when they're as slow as Custodians are, it's usually best to drop them in. So we'll see in a later phase, Matt will actually drop those in onto the battlefield.
When it's your command phase, yeah.
So we'll see that, and then I'm wondering if Jack's thinking something similar with his Hearthkin Guard. To my knowledge, I don't think Hearthkin actually have a Deep Strike or teleport ability unless it's got a stratagem, so he might be wanting to bring them in later on as strategic reserves. So there's a couple different ways that you can start models off the board in 40k. You can start them in what's called a Deep Strike position, where they essentially either teleport in or they parachute in, or if they're a jet, they actually just fly onto the board on a later turn. But for models that don't actually have a Deep Strike rule, they can still start off the board, but they are then required to come in from a board edge, and it's a specific board edge every turn, and they can only come in within so far of that board edge. So definitely interested to see there. Jack might be wanting to bolster his back line in a later turn, which would make sense if he's got all those vehicles back there. With that, they're rolling off to see who goes first. Looks like Matt is getting the first turn, so we're going to see those Custodes start moving here in a sec as we move into the first command phase.
I have what's called March with the Tau, so I get special stances that I can activate and go on and stuff like that.
I do get that pregame move.
Oh yeah,
Before you start.
Go right ahead. I gotta open up the funny little page.
And for those of you following along in chat, we've got our weekly poll as always. Who will win this game? Matt's Custodes or Jack's Leagues of Votann? Definitely cast your votes now, and let's see how you all do this week. I'd like to remind everyone that we are, of course, hosted by Miniature Market, St. Louis's premier board game supply, model supply, and hobby supply store. If you like what you see here on the board today, or want to have any interest in other games like Warhammer 40K, definitely stop on by one of the locations. This match is, of course, filmed at the Cave Springs location in St. Peter's, but we do have streaming almost every night of the week from either the St. Peter's or the Manchester location on Manchester Boulevard. Definitely come on by, and if you're not able to make it to the store, definitely consider going to the website and purchasing something online. Miniature Market is, of course, located here in St. Louis, but they ship worldwide. And they are always having some kind of sale. I believe they've got a couple different sales going on right now, so definitely check it out there.
In case that changes your mind.
So yeah, my first.
And if you check it out, make sure that you check it out through the bit.ly link in the description.
And raise banner. So I'm going to. Okay. This is interesting.
He is. 1 year close to that. Although he has the warlord trait, Lord of Fire.
So I don't actually think I could do this one. So.
All I know is my doors are here to.
Matt's taking a look at his objective cards right now, kind of figure out what he's going to do this first turn and how he's going to respond on the board.
Starting off, so I'm going to go ahead and
definitely curious to see how he moves forward. We'll take a look at those objective cards here in a bit as the game goes through. Again, those objective cards are going to be actually how they score their points. This game is dependent on what it says in the card. So the card might say something like capture and hold an objective till the end of the round, but it also might say something like slay the warlord or kill a character on the board. It might say something like destroy an enemy vehicle. So there's a whole lot of different objectives that he may be having. He's moved the Sagittarium Guard up. Like I was saying before, the Sagittarium Guard's not exactly a model you see every day. They're definitely one of my favorite custodian models in general, because they are so range focused. So their bolters that they have are a special kind of bolter. They're effectively
so it'll actually be at the end of my
like a heavy bolter laser cannon combo gun. So
that in mind,
in
actually scoop him.
Warhammer 40K, the most common army that you'll usually see is the Space Marines, who all carry various versions of the bolt gun and the bolt rifle. It's the meat and potatoes standard gun. Most things are kind of big. You'll see that in the game, most weapons are going to be at very least comparable to a bolter, or at least adjacent to a bolter if it's used in infantry. But the Sagittarium Guards basically use a super bolter that's got an underslung laser cannon on it. So they're able to fire out 3 shots every round from the bolter and then an additional shot from the laser cannon. The other thing that's pretty great is that despite the fact that custodians tend to be pretty slow, those models actually have the ability to assault with that, so they're able to take additional movement and still fire their weapons, even though they will take a mild penalty on that.
I'm going to
moving those bikes up and around the side of the battlefield. Definitely interested to see. Looks like he's going after this Pathfinder, so we're going to have some bike-on-bike action there. Definitely interested to see what comes of that. You might not be able to see it on the models, but actually underneath the bikes, they each have several ranged weapons. Just one of those bikes can usually pour out the same number of shots as several infantrymen. In fact, I think one bike, if I remember correctly, can pour out more shots than a bolt rifle squad of intercessors. So definitely pour out a lot of firepower from those. So they're definitely a big threat. I'm curious to see if Matt actually has the hurricane bolters or whether he has opted to use the missile launchers on the bike. Either way, super dangerous.
Funny idea.
Missile launchers pour out a ton of high damage shots, whereas the bikes, or whereas the hurricane bolters are just able to pour out just a ton of shots in general. So definitely interested to see how he's outfitted them. Definitely I'll ask him here in a second. how he's equipped them. All right, moving.
Just
Moved that standard bearer up as well. And he's got that other squad of the Sagittarian Guard standing on top of the...
That'll be my turn. That'll be at least my movement. So raise the banners.
Standing on
Put
top of
here.
those
With that in mind, we're gonna
brackets. And with that, he is actually... That is the end of his movement phase and possibly his turn.
That's
As he
T8.
has opted to actually take the raise the banner
That's obviously
action,
like
which will award him with additional points.
Okay. How many wounds pop out the bikes?
The one without the extra guy on it is 3. The one with the extra guy on it is 4.
Definitely moving into the first shooting phase there.
so
I was
I'm
definitely
gonna go
curious
ahead
when
and
we
shoot
said it
all
was the end of his turn, it meant
your
the end of his movement phase.
So hitting on 2s, no
so
reroll
he's
1.
gonna be
because I'm
rolling.
outside of the R.
Hitting on 2s goes Custodes.
So 1 fail.
3 hits.
Strength 8.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's fielding those
So
with
threes.
the missile launchers as opposed to the Hurricane
I'm
bolters.
going to CP reroll. So I'm going to reduce to 4. Okay.
But one of the, yeah.
So only 2 go through. You're making 2 saves, a lovely AP of -4.
So it'd be -3 because of void armor. I think those still. Oh no, wait! I am in. I got light cover.
Yeah, so it'd be AP -1. So -2. Yep.
So I think I'm on 6s. Available. How much damage?
So D3 plus 3. So first one,
Ooh,
it keeps going out. 6 and 5.
first shot's going in for 6 damage, second for 5. So that is a lot of damage going into those bike squads right out the gate.
Cool. Okay. I'm gonna have these Sag.
Out of range with stubber, so.
It's kind of pedantic to measure, but
Except those
I'm gonna have all 3 of these.
Sagittarian
I'm gonna have these 3 Sag shooting those guys.
are firing into the Hearthkin Guard.
So before I go. Okay. So hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. This unit here. So 2s and 1s. So hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. Okay. All are gonna hit. Strength 5, and you said T4.
Yep.
Okay. So 3s. It'll be 6 saves at AP -1.
So AP 0.
And they're not dead.
Yep. 4 up.
Okay. So 6.
There's 10 dudes in there.
I do have a med pack in that unit, so it does negate 1 fail, the first fail, so 2 will die.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're going to see 2 of those Hearthkin Guard go down. One of the things that Jack actually just mentioned is that
this
that squad has a
unit
med pack
is
in
gonna
it,
do the
which allows him to
unit of,
negate one of the failed
that
wound
advanced.
rolls, which is definitely going to play
That one.
So
definitely
because
going to
again,
be really
stance,
helpful in
they are
that
kind of
case because it does
stationary,
save one of his guys from dying.
I do believe they're outside.
Definitely in a game, whether you're playing for the Custodes or against the Custodes, every wound really does count in these. The Custodes can just shrug off tons of fire. So losing those models, losing any models early on, can really be pretty detrimental in the late game when you really need to be forcing as many rolls through as possible. On the flip side, if you're playing as the Custodes, losing a single model can be absolutely devastating. Just one of those bikes can cost as much in-game as an entire squad of guardsmen.
Same deal.
Again, with that massive amount of firepower that they churn out, they also are just very expensive in-game. Again, that's why the Custodes can only field, let's see, Matt's probably got 1, 2, 3,
Nice.
less than 20 models on the
We'll
board
do
right now.
the funny.
Versus Jack,
the
who's,
wardens.
at the
Question
beginning of this
is-
game, and then with the models that he has in strategic reserve, he's got
Warden's gonna shoot.
easily 40 or so models, so he almost outnumbers them 2 to 1. But you make up for that in just the raw stat lines and the firepower that can be poured out there.
So, none.
Ooh, whiffed.
Oh, void armor. You also can't reroll wounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in case. You
So I don't. Yeah, I
Good
don't
piece
have
of
anything
clarification there
other
from
than
Jack.
wounds.
So the Leagues of Votann have an ability called Void Armor,
and you can't reroll.
which
Okay. Last bits of
negates
shooting are gonna
some
be
of
this here.
which negates some armor penetration, but it also negates some of the ability to reroll wounds. And in this case, that's going to play a pretty big role. Custodes often have a lot of wound rerolls, so Jack's going to just negate that right out the gate. Definitely going to be a major player in the toughness. And that is kind of the funny thing with this matchup. Obviously, the Custodes are like a super elite army, and they're one of the toughest armies to remove in the game. Votann are not much less tough than Custodes there. They're probably a close third or fourth as far as toughest army in the game goes to remove from the board. So I'm really thinking this game we're going to see a lot of volleys going back and forth and no one actually killing each other, or a disproportionate amount of models not being removed compared to what you would normally see.
2 damage. Cool.
You will be down.
Okay.
Taking a look at that chat poll, looks like we're 50-50 right now. A pretty dead even split for most of the voters here today. Very nice to see.
Okay, so that'll be the end of my turn because I can't charge.
Looks like we are moving to
raise
the
the
end of
banner,
turn. Nothing's in charge range, so there's no reason to go through any of the charge
At the
phase.
end of your turn, provided the unit providing is within. Yeah, so
Okay.
It looks like
I know
Matt's going to
sometimes, like, you need
score
is going to be done.
one of his objectives, which you can see flipping
that'll
it
be
face
5
down just to let us know that he has gone ahead and scored that. So definitely coming out
My turn.
with a pretty strong opening volley, killing a couple of those bikes and then knocking out some of those Hearthkin. Definitely pretty decent while still maintaining a fairly
Go with.
conservative position. But I think we're going to see that Hecaton Land Fortress come out and do some real damage this phase. Really curious to see where this goes. And Matt scoring the early points, definitely going to be really good for him.
So bikes have a leadership 8, so I lost 2. So I mean, if I roll a 6. Nope. The Warriors. Also leadership 8, and I lost 3.
So 5.
All right, so we've got. It was no prisoners.
Something to also keep in mind, if you go in the description, obviously you've got the bit.ly link to the Miniature Market website, but also we've got our link to our Adeptus St. Louis Discord. That's a Discord that's going to have actually all of the players featured in these various weeks, including our commentators as well. So if you want to get involved with any of the leagues that we do here, or want to get to know any of the players or learn a little bit about the game, definitely join up on that
Yeah, I'm
Discord.
not doing that.
We've got about 110 members right now, and it is super, super active. What's great about the Adeptus St. Louis Discord is we don't just focus on Warhammer 40k, though it is probably our bread and butter. We've got channels for Age of Sigmar, we've got channels for Kill Team, we've got channels for
Against Custodes
Necromunda,
orcs.
which is another skirmish game that Games Workshop has,
Yeah, it's designed to
and
kill
channels for
30
hobbying as well. You'll find that several of our players, they play the game, they love playing the game, but their passion really is hobby. I know one of our players
You know what? I think I will
plays orcs
CP to get rid of
and
that.
plays salamanders, and he's constantly and actually plays Leagues of Votann as well.
That's better. You have 6
He runs with
targets.
a red army,
5 on the
so
board
if you
right
go
now.
on there, you'll see
Sorry,
Ek
4
the
on the board.
Tanker, definitely one of our
I don't
painting
know if we said, but
gurus on
Mike
there,
calls my world.
always posting photos of his models. Definitely one of our more
okay,
active
so
members. So if you're definitely interested in learning
first
more
one,
about the game, getting connected with the community, definitely join up on the Adeptus St. Louis Discord. You'll find that in the link below.
Actually, wait, do I have? No, I didn't give them that Warlord trait. Okay. So movement.
All right, looks like Jack's going to be moving into the movement phase.
Takes you to take it off the curve, because I'm assuming when these hit the field, they come back, the fatigue's gone.
Whipping those bikes around into that squad of Sagittarian Guard, and then I think that's Trajan Valeris that's with them as well. Definitely an interesting move. I'm curious to see, just knowing kind of the general stat line of those Pathfinder bike squads. They've got a pretty decent damage output, but I'm really curious to see, maybe he's going to go and try and gum them up, keep them in the back line. Like I said earlier, Matt was telling me in his previous match that he had this week, even the match before that, he'd been struggling to get out of his deployment zone, and clearly that's not the case in this game.
I'm also going to
getting first turn, he was able to really expand, so it looks like Jack might be trying to counter by locking him back in to prevent him from getting into those central objectives.
Okay. Is that a one-time thing? Or is that...
as long as I have CP and the med pack guy's alive.
Ooh.
I can't do it if I'm in combat, though.
Okay.
So.
2 or 3 to go how you class Black Adam. Should be. It's the
So,
Blizzard should
just
say
remember,
what kids
just
can-
for my sake as well, so long as Trajan is on the board, to do a warlord trait, for every time I use a stratagem, I'll roll a dice, and on a 5-up, I get CP back. So, hopefully I can...
That's his special warlord trait?
He's got 2.
Black Adam.
Well, that's better, at least. That seems like a very lackluster character
He's
one.
got 2.
He's about his time.
I'm going to go up just a little bit.
And honestly,
Just a little squeaky squeaky.
we all have much. It was not the worst movie I've ever seen.
All right, looks like Jack is moving those Hearthkin Guard into the midfield. Definitely trying to cut off those Custodes. Looks like he's probably going to go after the Custodian Guard that Matt's put out there. Curious to see. I'm wondering if he's going to go ahead and just focus down that center of the board as much as possible. Definitely wouldn't necessarily be the worst move in the world to really focus that fire. Really curious to see how he uses the land fortress and the buggies as
only have
well.
one smoke.
Since they're right now is kind of still staying in the back, I'm wondering if he's going to move them up into a more aggressive position, or if he's going to keep them a little more conservative in the rear to kind of protect his back line, knowing that those Terminators are going to drop in could drop in starting in turn 2. So definitely moving those guys up. Or at least one of them. Moving one of the buggies. Definitely going to see. Maybe not.
Spend a CP to accelerate, giving it 12 extra movement.
Oh wow! So Jack's actually going to use a CP to give the buggy an extra 12 movement. So it's going to be booking it across the board. Very interesting move there. Very aggressive move. So you can see that guy just whipping out around there. I don't think anyone's going to be locked in their deployment zone this game. I think we're definitely going to see a big brawl in the center as well as a brawl in each other's backlines, but I don't think there's going to be any issues this game from either side getting locked in with their smaller armies. So good to know. You can actually look behind that Hecaton. I think he's got those Ironkin, who are kind of builders of the Votann and the mechanics. I'm going to wager that they might actually be deployed inside the land fortress. I do believe that it can function as a transport vessel rather than just a mainline battle tank.
We're doing 6. We're doing comp games.
I would love to see
Shout out to the first comment of the night. Let's go, Space Dorks. I guess my question for you, Adam, is: are they both the Space Dorks? Are the Space Dwarves the Space Dorks? Or are the Adeptus Custodes the Space Dorks?
my one bike. They're gonna stay. Okay.
Starting with the rich man's city.
What is the range on you? Oh, my broke here Iron Master. He can give a vehicle +1 to hit.
Okay.
So he's gonna give it to my Hecaton, so it's shooting on 2s.
Okay.
Just kind of listening, and it doesn't actually look like the those Ironkin that we talked about. I actually don't think they are deployed within the Hecaton. It sounds like the Iron Master, was sort of the leader of that squad, is still giving out buffs to all the different vehicles, which I'm wagering, since he clarified that the buff went on the Hecaton rather than just kind of assuming that since it's deployed in the Hecaton, it has to go there.
He can do it on any.
I'm going to wager that he actually opted to field that outside the land fortress.
Hecaton has +1.
That'll definitely give him the most flexibility in allocating his buffs, since he does have those other vehicles. Definitely an interesting thing there. That actually does make me wonder something I didn't ask at the beginning, because he did have those Hearthkin Guard that were starting off the board. I'm going to wager those are actually deployed within the land fortress.
They're the realest.
I'm going to wager we're going to see those pop in later, which would make a whole lot of sense, especially with how aggressive Matt played. Has opened the game up. Definitely wouldn't surprise me if he popped those in that transport early on, just to ensure their survival into the late game.
I forgot to mention, they have...
See down there, Trajan Valeris, protected by those Sagittarium Guard. Really interesting. Really interested to see what happens there. That is... Those models are very, very close to each other. And I'll just be totally honest, my money, if everything there is going to get into a scrap with each other, my money is 100% on the Custodians in that little brawl. Despite the fact the Sagittarium Guard are primarily a shooting unit, any Custodian is dangerous in any situation as long as they have a weapon that's appropriate. And Trajan Valeris is a melee powerhouse. Say, one of my friends, give a shout out to her, Emily, actually plays Custodes, and I remember the first time I watched her play against an acquaintance of mine, first round, she lost quite. There was a pretty devastating opening volley in the first round. It was a small 1,000-point game, and she was able to move Trajan into the melee. It was one of the only things that survived. Moved in the melee and nearly pulled the game back from the brink of defeat, just with like a single model. So Trajan definitely not a model to be taken lightly. Makes sense given that he is the leader of the entire Adeptus Custodes and is a High Lord of Terra. Would not be surprised remotely there. Looks like Adam's going to clarify for us in chat here that the dwarves are in fact the space dorks.
Okay, so 3 does not save.
It's a 2 damage.
So guys down to
All right. I think all that's left now are bolt shotguns. They, for some reason, have range. So it's 4 shotguns. With 2 shots each, so it's... Or 3 shotguns, because I can't count. Hit on 3s.
strength.
I believe this is only 5. Yeah, 5.
So
2.
2 maybe.
1.
It's gonna fail.
So
we'll rub it down to try and keep the guy alive. He's alive.
okay. I'll just charge him. Okay. They'll fire into the guys with the judgment token.
Okay.
So I'll do the regular.
So for those of you who are returning from Jack's first game, you might be familiar with the judgment token mechanic. So one of the things with the Leagues of Votann being that they are stern, grudge-holding dwarves, they are able to apply what are called judgment tokens to their enemies, which make their killing ability go way, way up. So he applied that judgment token in that center board squad, and it looks like he's going to be pouring everything he's got into them.
Hitting on 3s, rerolling. I should.
I actually think I was mistaken. I think Trajan is actually in the center board. Just
the
looking
orders.
at the model
Okay,
a
so they
second
all
time.
agree.
Trajan's got the feathery
I guess it is
plume.
+1.
So it looks like that's who's there. So
No,
definitely
so his
really
aura is
valuable for
reroll
Jack
one,
to try
but
and
this is- the one he
capitalize
picks
on
is
that and
just
take him
reroll
down
one.
before he's able to let loose, regardless of
They can
the
reroll
other
one.
model that's going in on the other model that's guarded by the Sagittarium that are going to be fighting those Pathfinders. Definitely still dangerous to have a melee unit that close to a ranged unit, but we'll see. I do believe that the Pathfinders actually do have some pretty decent melee potential themselves, so hopefully that opening volley softened up the Custodes and they'll be able to move in and deal a killing blow with that. Going back to our poll, looks like the votes have swung a little bit. We are now, Votann are leading in the poll 67 to 33.
The warden has. Oh wait, what?
Oh, shoot. I forgot about auto wounding.
Before I do this, so wardens have a 6-up heal now. So if I get one of these,
All right, let's see that 6-up feel no pain.
no.
3 5s. You hate to see it. The warden goes down. That is devastating.
So here's.
Oh man,
they're fun
you
games.
hate to see it.
I got the Magna Rail Rifle.
Yeah.
It ignores invulns.
Oh shoot! So that Hecaton Land Fortress it ignores invuln saves, and here's why that's going to be really important in this game in particular. Every custodian model has an invulnerability save, which negates some of the armor pierce effects.
Okay,
But here's the thing: rail cannons
Warden?
don't
need a-
care
yeah,
about your
I just need
invuln
a
save.
not a 2.
Okay.
Let's see it.
Okay, so I'm going to spend a CP to reroll that.
Jack is definitely going to send his CP to reroll that one.
Oh my god!
Oh man, you hate to see the failed. You hate to see the failed feel no
what
pain with
happened.
555s, but you hate to see a rail cannon miss too.
Game over.
That's game, guys. Call it GG. Let's close the stream.
All right.
That hurt.
I valiantly accept your defeat now.
That's let's play.
Matt's already calling it.
Hey.
No, this is still a pretty dead even game for those of you watching.
Okay, so I'm going to fire their beamers into your bikes.
All right.
Now,
Looks
you
like
don't
those
have
plasma
anything in
beamers
between,
are
so
going
there's
into
no
the bikes
special.
from the heavy weapons team that the
What it
Votann
does
are
is if
fielding
there
there.
was like if these were in front of it, they would also get hit,
Okay.
and it's mortal wounds. But I can also shoot my own guys with it. Void Dragon.
Let's do it.
So thankfully, I think everybody's just kind of okay. So it's 1 shot each. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling. Whatever I feel. Okay. Strength. 7.
7.
So 3s.
T6. Let me double check for you. T6.
I'll hit. Minus 2.
Minus 2. So
And they're 3 each.
3.
3 damage apiece.
Okay. Light. So minus. You said minus 2, right?
Yeah.
Minus 1. So I'm looking at 3s. Okay. Okay, that's a fail. Okay.
It's 3 damage.
Ooh. Another hit goes in.
How much do they have? 5 a pop. So it's got 2 left.
Say the bright side. he had that missed railgun, which would have really been pretty rough. But on the flip side, anything going through any lost model this early in the game is going to really hurt for the Custodes. I wouldn't say that Matt's in any bad position right now, but definitely failing some key wound rolls early.
24 shots. Or 24 shots.
24, yeah.
And Jack is breaking our terrain.
24 shots from one guy.
Stop that.
Okay, so it's. I think those are 2 of those.
Well, I have one gun that's
Kind of give you a little bit of a preview for next week's match. I'll be back in the commentary seat, and we are going to have another returning player. Nick Elieff and his Orcs will be returning to actually fight one of our other commentators. Graham 6-Up Tevis is going to be bringing his Iron Hands to the field. In a very classic miniature market matchup. Nick and Graham
so it counts as one extra
play very regularly here. Nick actually is the one who taught Graham how to play the game way back when Graham first started. And look at him now as one of our commentators. So we're going to see that Space Marine Iron Hands versus Orcs next week. And maybe, just maybe, the Master will be defeated by the Apprentice next week. We'll just have to wait and see.
Okay, they got the light from the tower there, so I'll take it. So 2s.
Let's see 2s.
They're fine.
Them some 2s.
What is your range?
Do an anchor, he'll do an anchor.
Also 24.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes. So everything's in range for those. Is that a beamer? He's got a beamer and then 2 assault bolters underneath. So I'm going to do the bolters first. Okay.
We're good.
Which is 6 shots. 6 shots on 3s. Bolters are strength 6.
T5, so 3s. So 3.
At -2.
-2, okay, no cover. So 4-ups.
Let's see.
1 fail. Damage.
One fail.
So I'll just kill the guy on 1. Or. Yeah.
All right, one more of them Sagittarian
Now
Guard
the
go
highlights.
down.
2 shots. Let's hit. Wounding on
I
strength
keep
9.
looking over to the left side of the battlefield edge where they've got their dice tray, and I see those Terminators.
Sag?
Yeah, Sagittarius
Definitely
is
something to keep in mind. When they come down, it's going to be interesting. It's going to definitely be really interesting. There's a lot of space on the board where they're going to be able to drop down. I'm really curious. I'm wondering how Jack is going to screen against Deep Strike. So one of the things with Deep Strike is you can only come in 9 inches away from another enemy model. So I'm really curious to see, is Matt going to try to wait until a later turn and maybe drop those Custodians into the back line, or maybe he's going to use it to reinforce? I know that's something that I've done in the past when I run with my Dark Angels Deathwing Terminators. A lot of times I don't even use them to drop into the back line. I just use them to reinforce my front. So curious to see what Matt's going to do there.
So all the guns are going into the bikes?
Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to do the autocannon first. 6 shots. Hitting on 2s.
Going back to the poll, looks like Custodes are creeping back up. We've got
3s again.
4 votes for the Leagues of Votann, and then we've got 3 votes for the Custodes. So still pretty even poll, all things considered.
That's the one. So
Definitely great to see there.
2.
Ooh, one's dead. Bike boy.
Oh no, one of the bikes goes down. That's
Okay, now.
it's a pretty heavy hit, but he's still got 3. And again, like I was saying before, one Custodian bike can really do a lot of damage. So
Just
Losing one definitely hurts, but
it is
Just ask.
2d3
Matt's in
plus
such a
6.
good position right now,
Yeah, if I save, then we're fine.
and he hasn't
Does have a
lost
special rule if I
anything
auto-wound on
super
or if I
crucial
wound on
just
6,
yet. So,
the damage spills
you know,
over.
losing a bike, that hurts,
But I
but he's
didn't get that, so
he's
just
really
go
in a
with
pretty good position overall. He's got the
Strength 14
Sagittarium
right
guard,
now.
you know, up in the back, so they're going to be able to pour fire. He lost those couple Sagittarium on,
Yeah.
you know, the
Okay.
northwest
be a
quadrant
4-up.
of the board, but he's
Yeah,
still
-4.
got
Oh no, it
that
is
hero unit in there. And like I was saying before, I would not be surprised if that one model will be able to take down those Pathfinders by himself. Oh no, it's time.
Pretty big. That's a pretty scary thing, man.
He is calling that
It has
shot. I
been
thought he was
considered
firing the rail cannon earlier. It might have been a different rail cannon he was shooting, but he is turning. He is calling his shot. He is swinging for the fences
Just for point of
like Albert Pujols.
point of reference.
It is 16.
For those of you who
And I
aren't from
can't
St. Louis, Albert Pujols, baseball player for the St.
Okay,
Louis
cool.
Cardinals.
Okay.
Very controversial figure
Okay.
in the world of baseball. Definitely, if you're looking for a
Okay.
good time, go and read about Albert Pujols.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off on charging.
All right. Okay then.
Jack's going to hold off on charging.
I did get raised the banners.
I don't know if that's the right move.
So raise it.
Honestly,
So go to my command
with
pad.
when you charge, you get to fight first, and
Now we get funny.
holding off on a charge with those bikes when there's those custodian models, unless he's banking on Matt retreating with, I don't know. I think
Identify one objective marker in no man's land.
I think that might be a mistake
They got the diagonal.
in not charging those
pick
bikes,
one.
or at least attempting the charge. I mean, he could always fail the charge, but I just really think
Make it
that
fun in the middle.
Middle. Ooh. Okay.
I think he's going to lose those bikes
I know you're
anyway,
coming
so it
anyway.
might be wise for him to
so
just
let's
go
make
ahead and deal the damage where he can and play a little more aggressively. So curious to see how that's going to pan out. I think that's going to be a
I
mistake.
think you can only do it on turn 3 through 5.
Turn 2, I thought.
I could easily be wrong.
Now we're. That is also.
Is it turn 2?
Second, third, and fourth. Yeah.
It is second? Okay. Yep.
Cool. So I'll start doing that. Cool.
All right, we're moving into the second phase.
Chose the middle one. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll get into my movement. Here's my book. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into Rendax. So Rendax is my shield host's preferred martial kata, meaning I get both stances. So both stances are going to be every time I make an attack against a vehicle or monster.
So Matt's
I'm
explaining
modified
that
6,
with his shield host, he's going to be moving into his preferred kata, which is their special ability involving their ability. So he actually gets to take all of his 2 of his martial stances right now, which is going to mean that this turn is going to be really crucial for him. He's definitely going to need to put some wounds on, put the hurt on there. And it looks like he's definitely going to play aggressive. He is moving into that center board, which I'm going to say at this point in the game, probably a wise decision to move stuff up and just try to get as much locked into melee combat and deny Jack the ground while he can. Like I was saying before, I'm going to wager that we might see those Terminators drop in this turn. Just to reinforce that front line and hold the dwarves back.
So we'll just negate each other.
Also curious to see if he forgets about that Blade Champion hiding out in those boxes. I'm going to call it now. I think that Matt's going to forget that Blade Champion, and that's going to be a crucial error.
Make sure I can see them. So I'm going to advance these guys down. They're literally just gonna go. Which does kind of put him in a tough spot, but you know what? I'll take it. I'm gonna move over here. So I'm gonna go about the process yoinking this objective here.
Oh, okay, interesting. So he's moved that.
So I'll be trying to get both. I'll actually do the same with.
He's moved that Sagittarium over to yoink that objective. So it looks like he's going to sticky objective that and then move his heroic unit over. And like I said, charge. I think this is where we're going to see that mistake I was mentioning earlier with Jack not charging his Pathfinders, and I think that's where we're going to see it come into play. Had he charged those in, he could have done. He very well could have denied that objective for one more turn. Definitely think that this is going to come back to bite, even if it doesn't result in dead models. That's points that
I'm going to shoot.
he's been unable to deny this turn. Moving into the shooting phase now. Ooh! Snake Eyes.
It's not going to do it.
I hate to see it.
Can you do an action and shoot?
No. Okay, so no. All right, so he will not be doing it.
Yeah, because
No, it's on me.
no, I know. It's normally you just have to stand there.
I'll have those three guys shoot the bike.
Right, going into the bikes.
Strength 6, right? Or, sorry, toughness 5, right?
I think so.
So 4s.
Yes, 5.
So
Couple 4s in there.
at your flat, since you're ignoring
One goes through.
so 2 damage.
Okay. He's got 2 left.
Okay. I'll have the 2 wardens shoot. They're within range.
Wait, what are they shooting?
The wardens are just shooting the guys.
Okay.
I'll do it. Strength 4 T4. So first.
4
So 2 at AP -1. No AP. So your flat saves.
Okay. Oh, and med pack saves that one.
Cool.
Once again, that med pack coming into play, saving one of those failed wound rolls.
Okay. These guys, I will try to do something. I don't know why my CP dice are over here either. It's kind of funny. And 4, right?
Yep.
3.
Ooh. Dice not going in Matt's favor right now.
Goes 4.
Oh boy.
All right, but there is 4 dropped Hearthkin, so that's gonna. Looks like now we're starting to whittle it down with that firepower.
Last little bit of shooting on the bikes.
Here come the bikes.
3's to wound. Only 1.
1 wound.
Was this into the
Yeah, hackathon.
Oh, the hackathon?
Yeah.
Checking a quick toughness rating. Let's see it.
It's AP -4, so -3. Since you're like
So, they,
5-0, right?
yes.
Okay,
Because it's -2, -3. It was 1, right?
just one going through, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so how much damage?
Looks like one of those missiles going to go through for 4 damage to the land fortress. Definitely trying to put those wounds on now
With the broke here.
before it can turn that railgun to bear again.
Okay. I guess we'll jump into it. Charges.
Moving into the charge phase.
Charging the Hecaton.
All right.
Bikes into the
Going to
Hecaton.
spend
Let's
a
see it.
CP.
And it
You guessed it.
looks
Overwatch.
like Jack is going to Overwatch.
That's a little ballsy.
So,
Not gonna see what
those
else
of
is
you
in charge.
following along,
I mean,
Jack
if I
only
don't
hit
kill them,
on
then the
sixes with an
Hecaton's gonna die.
Overwatch. So this is a pretty big
And if you charge
gambit.
them,
But
then I can't Overwatch with it
if the
anyways.
right gun hits in the right way, it can swing
do the iron
big.
beavers first.
So far, we're not seeing any sixes, but
More of those. Auto cannon is 6.
looks like he got a six there. I'm wondering what gun he hit with. Probably some kind of bolter.
Okay, one goes. One actually does hit.
One hits. Okay.
Strength.
Couple
7
more
tier
sixes.
6, so 3s. Okay.
We
Minus 2.
might see that land fortress go through.
Damage.
2.
Okay.
Oh man. Okay, it looks like
Magna Rail Cannon.
You have to get a
looks like there was some
Yeah, but
some
if I get a 6, I think
retroactive
I whip the
rolling
squad
that they
'cause
were
it spills over.
doing, but nah, man.
Make up for earlier.
See the rail cannon and
No go.
no go.
Okay. Charge.
Looks like he was definitely able to put some wounds on that bike. Didn't kill, but any wound is going to count. So let's see that charge. Oh yeah, definitely in.
So I'll just
Just barely.
Scooting them bikes on in there.
punch him. For my other charges, my wardens are going to charge into your little group there.
Oh, wait a minute. Overwatch is 1 or 2? CP?
1.
Oh, okay. I thought it was 2 for some reason.
Wardens are going to charge in.
11.
They might make it.
11-inch
I think
charge.
they might make it.
Dang, they can go pretty much wherever they want at this point. I'm really curious to
I'm actually
see
gonna do a
if he's
cheeky
gonna.
thing called-
Yeah, no, that was what I was wondering, is if Matt was gonna wrap him around. So since he has an 11-inch charge, he doesn't have to charge directly to the front.
So,
So he's gonna wrap him around,
clearing those two. Do I want to get Trajan in?
which is gonna get him in there. So now he's wondering if he's gonna get Trajan in there. I think it would be unwise if he didn't. Probably the best idea to try and get Trajan in there. So sounds like he's gonna go ahead and do it. Let's see it.
7.
7 inches. That's definitely gonna make that in.
So I'm actually going to keep him just there to try and deny.
Yeah, I don't think those
Other
Hearthkin
charges.
are long
Shield
for this
captains, so we
world.
go in.
Definitely seeing
5, he's in.
Matt play, like I was saying before, Matt playing really aggressive, really trying to just lock Jack in as much to his deployment zone as he can, prevent him from scoring
So let's get this started.
those other
with
objectives.
bikes.
Definitely seeing
Because they
some of
charge,
those
+1 to the
pieces, see those crucial movement pieces from that beginning phase, from that first turn, definitely seeing that come around.
So I'm also going to use.
Really curious to see how Jack's going to be able to get out of this, given especially that he's got such a shooting-focused army. But if he can get those, gets those berserkers in, he might be able to do a pretty good breakout. And then that center board is his for the taking. So really going to be. This is going to be a really crucial combat
So I'm
in
gonna do something
this
funny.
phase of the
Every
game.
unit in my army has a miserable.
Going back to that vote, we are back to 50-50. Still dead even.
Strength 4,
Custodes,
AP -1.
Votann. 4 for Custodes, 4 for Votann.
Minus something.
Definitely
It's just funny.
really interested to see, once we get to the bottom of turn
It's just
2, I'm going to
funny
see if
to
I can get a
use.
score
So-
update from
So
the
you're
players. Really
stabbing a
curious to
giant
see
metal tank with knives.
With a knife.
what's going
So,
there.
these are gonna be
The
just
one
the
thing that's going to be
next
kind of interesting, I know that, Matt has charged those bikes,
So,
and like I was
we're
saying,
gonna
those
do
bikes are always going to be super
first, so
dangerous.
hitting on
With how
twos.
tough the Hecaton land fortress is, I'm wondering if he...
Strength 5.
I'm
and
wagering I imagine that he knows that he probably won't be able to kill it outright, given just the number of wounds that it has with the bikes. But I'm wondering if he's just hoping to gum it up and keep it locked in there so they can't use that railgun, or if he really does hope to actually destroy it this turn. I mean, I don't think he'd be remotely upset if he destroyed the land fortress this turn.
6s.
Auto wound, you said.
Do you believe it? I'm just double checking, just to make sure, because I don't want to mess up here and what's going on. So 6s are going to auto wound.
Say if you're tuning in now, definitely give us some feedback in the chat. Adam is looking very, very lonely as our only chatty fan tonight. If you've got questions for me, if you've got any commentary of your own on the game, as long as you're keeping it PG, we are definitely thrilled to be able to have feedback from everyone in chat here. So if you like what you're seeing and you want to jump in on the conversation, definitely jump in the chat there.
So 4s.
And don't forget that if you like what you're seeing this week, or if you've seen any of the other Miniature Market games that are being streamed, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to all of the great YouTube things. We would love to see you promote us if you like what we're doing on your social.
So it took 6.
We want to be able to outreach as many people as possible and be able to build this community here. Whether it's the 40K streams that we're doing here on Tuesday, or whether you're interested in BattleTech. I know this weekend they actually had a really successful BattleTech game.
You know what?
I believe that one of our regular 40K players was actually featured in one of the BattleTech games this weekend.
How much can you heal for?
So definitely something to check out if you're interested in 40K, but if you're just interested in any kind of gaming in general and you want to check it out, definitely keep an eye out here on the Miniature Market YouTube channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon to make sure that you get updates each time that they're streaming.
The Wardens.
So if I remember correctly, they pretty much got a game almost every night or day of the week. They had Digimon last Sunday for the big pre-release event for that. They had BattleTech, of course, last Saturday.
I actually do something this time around.
They've got RPGs as well, so if you're interested in learning more about the tabletop RPG side, they've got that, board game demos, Star Wars Legion, all that good stuff. So if you're definitely into it, go and check it out.
3s, 2 wounds at AP -2.
So -1 to 5s. Nope. 2 die.
Cool.
Ah.
Their other attacks out of the way, and we'll jump to Trajan, and the Shield Captain, we'll call it even. So, really wants Trajan's right there, and he's
All right. We've got that melee going in that center board.
3s again. So make sure, because you said they're
T4s.
I didn't do that.
I've got some 1s in there, but that's still quite a few wounds that are going through.
So 5 saves at AP -3.
5 at AP3. It's going to go down to AP2 because the Void Armor. Let's see him do it.
Nope. Okay. Yep. 6s.
6s. Let's see it. We haven't had a lot of luck with 6s this night, but maybe this is where it changes.
Yep.
Most definitely not.
Okay,
They go down.
So
Clearing out that center board.
you're going to
But with that, it looks like Jack is going to pop that judgment token down, making his killing potential even higher on those Custodes. That is part of the big part of what goes on when you're playing against the Leagues of Votann. They're already a pretty tough, durable, damage-dealing army right out the gate, but they're actually one of those steamroller type armies where they build and build and build, and that's all about that judgment token mechanic. So if he's able to maintain some battlefield superiority here, and if he's able to maintain some of his units, as we move into this later part of the game, as those judgment tokens build up, it's almost like a debt, and eventually that debt's got to be paid. So really, really curious to see how that switches around now that he's got 2 judgment tokens on those custodian guard there. going into that heavy weapons team, I'm going to wager one of the things that kind of does happen, getting into a little bit of the fiddlier parts of the rules, when a unit destroys another unit in melee, they can move up to 3 inches towards the nearest enemy unit. And as long as they don't enter within melee range, they can't necessarily suffer any kind of recourse. But if they do, the enemy unit that they enter into combat with gets to fight, and they don't. Now, I definitely think that was the right move on Matt's part. When you lock something up in melee, you're not able to actually shoot at it. So it's better to kind of take that gamble on a ranged unit. And know that they might chip a wound or 2 off, but you're going to prevent all the shooting from going into those custodians. So he's going in with that shield captain into the bikes now. Jack's popping those wounds off, and there goes those bikes.
Okay.
Like I was saying earlier, we're seeing that come back around to bite Jack, I think. Definitely think that was a missed opportunity there, charging those bikes in. Definitely seeing that come back around.
So 4 attacks. Hitting on
but I'm wondering if he's got something. So he's going to be, he's rolling some attacks back. Again, I think that those would have been better served getting those initial... What it would have been, I think, 11 attacks had he initially charged.
Unless you're toughness 8. So 5.
All right, wounded on 5s. 2 wounds. Let's see if he can put a couple of wounds in on that shield captain. I'm wondering if Jack's got some kind of ability with those bikes where he's going to be able to pull out of melee and use that bike to
you big shooty boys.
consolidate or kind of move out somewhere else. I know Dark Angel's my main army when I run my Raven Wing, which is a very bike-focused army. I have a ton of different abilities where I can get into melee with someone, make a melee attack, and then dip out of melee before facing any kind of recourse. So I'm wondering if Jack's wanting to do something kind of similar to that with this bike.
Could have done that. Should have done that.
Looks like they're going to be moving over to melee with that squad that I mentioned earlier that went over the... Yep, definitely going into that melee now. Maybe we'll see. Well, they've got the judgment tokens, so the heavy weapons team is not necessarily known for its melee capacity, but with the judgment tokens, you might see some wounds go through, and that's what we're seeing here. 3 wounds are going through. Let's see if he saves out of them. I don't think they're going to have the AP. Yeah, he's going to save out of it. But
we'll do this.
That is
the Hecaton Land Fortress.
Yeah.
He is going to fight with the garbage truck.
3 attacks hitting on 6s.
3 attacks hitting on 6s. Let's see it. Do we get a 6? We've been fishing for 6s all night, and the garbage truck does not disappoint.
3s because you're.
It wounds. No AP.
No AP.
Okay. I can work with that. We'll go. I can work with that. Kind of funny, but you know what? We make do. So 1, no AP.
Let's see it. No, he's fine. You always got to love those clutch moments, though, when a vehicle is able to just absolutely tear something to pieces in melee. Not the case here,
I'm gonna put on him.
but definitely always a favorite moment.
I judge you.
You can't do that. I'm the judger.
Looks like more judgment tokens are going out.
Okay.
You're down to 5 CP. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm up to 6.
Okay.
Your turn. It's done, right?
Yeah. So attempted target goes.
All right, looks like we're scoring points there.
His objectives.
And I'm actually gonna step away from the mic and get a quick update on score for you all here now, and I'll be right back with the score total here in a second.
casted twice?
I'm at 10, he's at 5.
How's that one for the flamer?
That's one for the flame. That's a special flame roll.
Okay, and so the plus one strength goes to the gun, not to the unit?
Oh, no, it's plus one to attack.
You good?
Oh, wait, can I discard at the beginning of my turn?
All right, just got the update on the score total. Actually, pretty close game. Obviously, we are still only in the second turn, and this is where we're going to see those points starting to really rack up. And it is only a 10-5 game currently, so really anyone's game. And really, when you even look at the model count, obviously Jack's lost quite a few models so far, but Matt did lose 2 of those bikes. As well as the Sagittarium Guard and some of those Alaris Custodians. So, I mean, when you look at how much green is on the board versus how much gold's on the board, Jack still has a pretty hefty numerical advantage here. I definitely think that Matt's got, in general, a little bit better board presence, but
Waiting for them to appear.
I think, here they come. So here come those Berserkers. And here's where I think things are going to get a little bit interesting. So Jack's going to be able to really make that breakout. If those Berserkers do what I'm anticipating those Berserkers are going to do, he's going to be able to finally break out of his deployment zone. If I remember correctly, watching the stream from week 2, this is a very similar situation that Jack found himself in the second week with the Orcs, where Nick was able to really just pile on the pressure early on, and Jack had to make a slow, creeping assault back. And I'm wondering if the same thing is going to happen. The only real difference, though, this time when you look at the board is that Matt's not playing Orcs, he's playing Custodes, so he's able to lock him in that deployment zone with only 4 models, whereas it took Nick's entire army to just push him back. So here's what we kind of have here, just in my humble 2 cents, is that Matt is, if he's able to keep those couple models in the board, keep everything gummed up as much as possible, then I really think he might be able to have this game, especially once he drops those Terminators in. I think we're going to really see. But if Jack can break out this turn and get those Berserkers into a really good position, he's going to have to first kind of sweep out. He's going to have to kill the bikes. He's going to have to kill those Custodian Guard or Alaris Custodians, those 2 with the grudge token. But if he can break out,
Can you fall back and shoot?
No.
We might.
I think it's -1.
We're going to have a really interesting game if he's able to break out. If he's not able to break out,
But you can still
I think he's going to end up in a similar situation where he's not going to be able to really come back until that turn 4 or 5, and we're going to see if Matt runs away with the score, it might be too difficult. But really curious to see. He's popping another grudge token down.
Double check his Warlord turret.
So definitely a very interesting place to be in.
I do have experience, so I can judge 2 different units.
Especially looking at the previous matches and having talked to the players, both of them have been in this situation before that Jack's in, where they are pretty well locked up in their deployment zone, which is definitely not a position you want to be in. Another judgment token going down on Trajan. Now, if Matt loses Trajan, that will be a devastating hit. And Trajan is out in the open right now. I want to say that Trajan's like a 250-point model, so that's,
So
250-point model.
you can. That was on me.
That could be interesting if he loses Trajan this turn, or even if Trajan gets locked up and out of position.
So that bike is going to do the action.
Definitely an interesting game. Still think it could be anyone's game at this
it's
point.
only
Going back to our votes. Look at that. Looks like Custodes have taken the popularity poll. Definitely didn't expect to see that. So out of the 9 votes, looks like Custodes are edging out the win. Again, I still think it's pretty well anyone's game. There's a lot of factors that are up in the air right now.
That's okay. Because they're going to do it.
Really, I think that this is going to be the crucial turn that decides the game. That's my honest opinion. If Jack can get the breakout now, and can put some really good wounds on the board in this crucial position, then I think he can take the game back pretty soundly. But if he's not able to break out in any significant way, or if he's not able to really pull some wounds off of those Custodes, I think Matt might be able to lock him down pretty good.
Okay.
Definitely going back to chat. Fan of the night, Adam. You're dominating in chat. It's like no one else is even frying.
1 CP, which allows them to fire even though they fell back.
Definitely fan of the week is what I'll call it. Your prize is my unending affection.
3 shots hitting on.
They are re-rolling ones. Is the call.
They're rolling everything.
Oh, okay. What are they hitting on?
3s.
Threes. Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good to re-roll. Okay.
That's an auto wound.
Auto wound. Okay.
And those hit.
Okay. Cool.
Strength. Strength 7.
Strength 7 into T5, so 3s.
Yay.
So okay, so
Everything at minus 2.
Something that I'm definitely excited about as we get into these later weeks and as we start planning out.
damage.
Oh, hold up. Before I say any more,
Kill the.
I think we're going to see something go down, and I think we're going to see, like I was saying, that breakout.
So that's.
I think we're about to see the start of that. So he's pulled the land fortress back, so it's no longer locked up.
I need 6s.
He's going to need 6s to save. I'm wondering what he's...
If that's your thing.
Ooh.
So save 2. So dead. Dead.
This might be that breakout that I was alluding to. You know, I'm going to wager it's those judgment tokens, and I think it's going to be... There it is. Yep. Looks like he's going to be breaking out of that deployment zone. Now, he's still got to deal with those bikes, and that's still going to be a pretty big issue, but opening up that center column is going to open up a lot of options for him for shooting lanes, charging lanes. Now he's got that shot directly at Trajan. So Trajan is all alone, which
Weird little mole.
not necessarily the worst thing. I mean, Trajan can do a lot. So I think it's going to be, can Trajan weather the storm that's coming? And if he can, how big is his fight back going to be?
Okay, so it's D6. So 2 shots. Okay. Hitting on 3s. Nothing. Okay. We'll fire their guns into him.
All right, so we've got those.
10 shots.
Looks like their bolters are going in. He's got those 2 grudge tokens. So what that essentially means is that if he rolls 5s and 6s, they're going to automatically wound. Now, oh no, wait, is there 3 grudge tokens? There's 3, so that means on... No, it's just 2, it's just 2.
So 6s.
Say.
No, 5s will auto wound.
5s and 6s will auto wound here.
So
Looks like we got 1 6, 1... Not a ton of auto wounds. Again, Trajan's a pretty beefy dude, so I'm going to wager he's going to be able to weather... Probably going to be able to weather this.
4 tier.
We're going to see those that didn't roll a 5 or a 6. Let's see if he deals any additional wounds, but...
Okay, so 5s.
All right.
Okay. So
Ooh, okay.
5 at
Playing with fire a little bit now.
No, minus 1.
Honestly, I don't think we're going to see Trajan go down from this,
Yeah, minus 1.
but every wound is going to count here. He's going to take 1. He's going to CP reroll it.
First things first, do I get it back? I do not. Do I save it?
Yes.
All right. Trajan is still up.
Not my warlord.
Warlord's going into Trajan as well, so we're going to see...
Relic pattern combi bolter.
Okay.
He's going to be firing a special combi bolter here.
He gets 4 shots And each
Definitely trying to soften
hit is
Trajan
an
up.
automatic. As
I
long
would
as
be
you have one
incredibly
judgment.
shocked if Jack did not charge
So
those
as long as I don't
berserkers in
roll
there.
ones. All auto wound. AP minus 2.
All right.
So we're up to how damage on this?
It is 2 apiece.
All right, let's see these saves.
Who else?
It's going to be a 4-up save, AP minus 2.
I think that, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it'll go to Trajan's 4-up, 'cause I don't think he's got a 3-up invuln. Oh, that's big.
Yep.
So I'm going to Moment Shackle.
Those are 2 damage apiece.
He's going to take 4 damage.
Okay.
So 4 damage going through. He is going to use one of his abilities to negate some of those, but that's...
Only 8?
So 4 more.
With those berserkers coming in, I'm going to wager Trajan probably has a fight first ability.
Okay.
If the berserkers go in, I would be absolutely shocked if he didn't. Most super elite models have something that will deny fight first, but 4 wounds from that call. This could be a big turning point for Jack. But
Shotgun's out of range, but everything else is.
gonna need the dice to go his way. Very crucial moment here.
Yep, 9 shots.
Into these guys? Okay.
Alright. Hitting on 3s.
All right, getting some more shots at him. Wagering that's going to go in on Trajan again. Again, crucial model because if Trajan goes down, 1, a lot of points. That is a ton of points to get removed from the board. He is a melee powerhouse. You want to get him
6
off
into your
the board before he can bring that axe to bear.
4 at minus 2.
Let's see.
1 each.
Ooh. Okay, so that was going in the Sagittarium, not
and
not
then-
Trajan.
The 3
Still though.
3 of the autocannon. So 3s again.
Okay. Hitting on 3s. I'm gonna wager it's wounding on 3s. Didn't see any auto
1
wounds
at
there,
minus
so
2.
we got 1.
No, minus 1.
Ooh.
That's it. Damage.
2.
One's down to 1.
Control 1, control 2.
All right. Looks like that Sagittarium's gonna take another 2 wounds.
Hecaton.
No.
No.
I'm saving him for last.
Okay.
Heal fire.
Kind of cutting away a bit. We've still got that Blade Champion that I mentioned earlier. I'm wondering if that's a tactical move, or again, I'm wagering Matt probably forgot about him. Definitely is going to be a mistake if Matt forgets about the Blade Champion. He's giving me a look right now. I'm wagering that this is all part of some grand master plan. I bet that Blade Champion is actually Alfarius.
Okay.
And this is part of a grand Zinchian master plan.
So 6 shots.
Now we got that buggy over there. I think he's going to try to shift that Sagittarium guard off of the objective.
Hitting on 3s.
So let's see it here.
Ouch.
Which could also be a pretty interesting play. Just removing some stuff from that
So
board
hitting
corner.
winning on 3s.
Getting the Sagittarium, leaving that shield
1 at
captain
minus 2.
very out of position.
No.
2 damage.
He's down to 1 wound.
Alright.
My boy.
High las beam.
No.
Hitting on 3s.
No.
Oh,
My
he
boy.
hits.
Damaging, or strength 9. So 3s.
Hitting, wounded on 3s.
1 at
Got
minus
1 wound.
I need a 4.
4 up.
4. I need a 4, please.
That's a 4.
Okay.
He lives.
The Emperor protects.
So he's down to 1, you said?
Down to 1. Here, I'll talk to you then. Hey!
Convenient. Okay. Hecaton, Land Fortress.
Going with the Hecaton.
I'm going to spend 1 CP for it to fire on its top bracket.
Okay, so he's going to spend a CP to fire on top bracket. So because it suffered some damage, it doesn't get to fire at full efficiency, but he's going to spend CP to make that happen anyway.
So I guess since it's in combat, it was hitting on 3s because it
is going to get a -1 to hit anyway because he's firing into melee combat. So since he's got that unit that's giving him +1, it's going to balance back out to hitting on 3s. And I think I haven't actually looked at the data sheet for the Hecaton. I know that its other non-exploding guns can fire in melee because that's just how vehicles work in the game. I wonder if the rail cannon has the turret keyword. I know the turret keyword's usually reserved for guard units, but I'm wondering if the rail cannon in this case also has it. Something I'll have to ask Jack about once we move into the next round.
7, so to your 6 of 3s. So 4 at -2.
So, first, I think.
2 each.
So that'll be a dead bite.
And the autocannon. Same thing, 3s. Oh, okay. All auto wounds. Strength 7, so 3s again.
The boiling water, lose 1 action.
I think it's also -2. Yeah, -2.
Explore the waters.
Ooh,
2 each.
them some 1s.
Okay.
And just like that, we've got that breakout.
That was a butt puncher.
Land Fortress is
surprised, 'cause I
pretty
thought the
damaged, but
I was more afraid of
we've
the bikes
got
living
that
and then
breakout.
just
Now,
wiping him.
now that he's broken out, I'm wondering,
Now
I mean,
you're
I'm going to wager the Berserkers are going to charge
Warlord v.
in
Warlord.
Trajan.
Well, they're charging.
But I'm really going to
Yeah,
wonder,
no, I brought them for a reason.
is Matt going to drop the... I can't imagine Matt not dropping the Terminators in
7-inch charge.
to reinforce that line and to try to just keep the dwarves at bay. Now that he's broken out, he's going to be able to bring those guns to bear in a huge way. And without the bikes, Matt has lost quite a bit of his anti-vehicle damage potential. So really interested to see how he's going to respond here. Again, he's still got those Terminators, though, and if they're able to get...
You know what?
If those Terminators can get in and get into melee quickly,
It's a 9-inch charge.
that's going to be devastating. But the key thing is he's got to get him in.
Cal is
And I honestly think Trajan's got to survive here. And I don't know if he's gonna. He's already taken quite a few wounds, and it doesn't look like Matt has any kind of fight first rule unless he hasn't
He's
brought
on
it
1
up
of them, so I'm
yet.
charging him with the boogie. It's a 4-inch charge. I'm gonna run you over.
Going in with the buggy.
Let's do it.
Well, no.
I'm gonna leave. So we're gonna attack with them
So
first.
that's the next card, and I put the expansion into
Okay.
this card. Here's the new one from the draw.
You know, I'm wagering if
So we're gonna
Thinking
do
about it.
fists first.
just kind of thinking out loud, if he doesn't have a fight first rule, I guarantee you Trajan has a fight on death rule.
That is
And I'm
3 attack or 4 attack.
gonna wager that's what Matt is. If Trajan dies here, he's gonna pop that, and he's gonna take all of those berserkers with him.
Oh yes, auto wounds because I'm greater Thurian, so those 2 5s technically do go through. I remember that.
What's damage?
Strength 8, so 3s because you're 5, right? Or 6?
5.
Okay, so 4 at -4.
4, I thought they were only
2.
All right, let's see it.
And they're 2 each.
So that would be a dead Trajan.
That is a dead Trajan.
Vigilant Ending. 2 CP.
There it is. Like I was saying, I couldn't imagine that he didn't have either a fight on death or a fight first rule, and there that is. So he is going to fight on death. You hate to see him go down, but that is the dangerous thing about getting into melee with Trajan is anything you put into melee with him, there is going to be a really, really good chance that he's going to take them with him.
That was funny.
Actually, hold on.
And that looks like that's what Matt is going to do. Hey, we've got someone new joining the chat. Welcome in.
So I've been doing this wrong. Well, he's not dead yet. That was how many wounds lost? 8?
I think so.
So adamantine mantle every time.
Oh, shoot. Actually, before he even does the fight on death, it looks like he's got some kind of... Looks like he might have a feel no pain, so he might actually be able to survive out of
Like he
this.
still does.
He still dies.
Nah, he's still dying. He's going to try a CP reroll. Nah, he
He
still
would
dies.
live with 1 wound left.
Whoa, no. Trajan doesn't go down.
I will do all the other.
I will get the CP back.
He does not go down. He survives with 1 wound left.
Actually,
That
part
is
of the other 4 wounds. but
that is
we're not worried.
So
clutch.
I'll do the other attack. So that's 3, 6, 9.
Hey, we've got John in the chat here to heckle me.
Okay.
How's it going, John?
Vigilant ending regardless, but I just find it funny.
Yeah, so 13. 2, 6, 8, 10. 12. 13. Yep. Wow. Oh, wait a minute.
Ooh, I think we're going to see some dead dwarves here. I think that's a lot of dead dwarves.
Outside.
Trajan is about to reenact the Mines of Moria here. Gosh dang.
So that's gonna
Gimli, eat your heart out.
last of our attacks.
Yeah. Well, these at least auto. So these. Wow. Okay. Strength 6.
How many looking at?
3.
So 3.
3 at -2. No, at -3.
Let me get the fate. Custodes dice. Custodes dice. Right? 4 up invuls.
Oh, looks like he had another round of attacking going into Trajan. Yes! There it is. Oh my gosh. So it looks like he actually had, I guess from the call,
Trajan's fighting back.
he was able to just pull that back from the brink.
Attack with this guy.
Oh my gosh. He's gonna fight back.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Woo!
Centaur.
You love to see it.
Oh boy.
And he's still alive too. This isn't even a fight on death, so we're gonna see more stuff. I wonder if he's going after.
Okay, so nothing.
Okay, so Trajan first.
Who he's going after in this one?
Hits. What's the toughness of those guys? 5s. So 4 up. So 1 wound at a lovely AP -2.
Okay, so
That's the closest I've come. Oh,
okay, so
I got the blood.
how much damage is it? It goes
It's
through
just, it's
automatically.
just 1, but
Okay, so they have
Looks like he's gonna
How many
fight with the
wounds
Misericordia first. So pretty much every Custodes model has like a little,
how many
like a
wounds
rapier blade that is just literally
just
1
one.
extra attack. It's like a
so
1
they
damage attack. So it looks like he's just getting that out of the way before
combat
he
sim.
brings the axe to bear.
Augmentation on a 5-up. Feel no pain.
Man, I am wagering
Yeah,
this
he's
is going to be. Oh, okay. Actually, he saved down the Misericordia, but I'm going to wager once this axe comes down, there's going to be a lot of dead dwarves.
Okay. All right, so we're looking at Trajan's main attacks.
All right, here it comes. He's going to get, what, 9 attacks, I think, coming in?
All hit. Looking at a strength of 10.
Oh my
T5
gosh.
for 2s.
Wounding on 2s.
Gonna
Oh.
dumb it down for the face.
Can't reroll.
Can't, okay.
Can't reroll wound.
Can't reroll wounds because of the
So
Void
it's
armor.
the void armor, but ooh.
5 at -3.
Okay, how much damage are they a piece?
3 a pop.
3, so
So 15 wounds total. How many wounds a pop are these guys?
3.
Oh.
And they got feel no pains.
Oh, looks like the berserkers have feel no pain. It's interesting. I wonder if that's because of the Ironkin, or if that's just an innate ability. I'll have to take a look into that.
5 ups.
Well, gee, thanks, John.
1.
I might remove fan of. I might rescind my fan of the week award from Adam and give it to John. Whoever gives me the best compliment this week will get the fan of the week award. Best compliment in chat gets fan of the week.
Killer's down to 2. So 2 dead, 1 down to
I can do 3.
Looks like with the feel no pains, he was able to prevent all of the dwarves from going down. Still pretty hefty
I'll go over
though.
This guy here. 1 Sag.
Like I was saying before, Trajan is a dangerous model to get into melee with. Not just because he hits like a truck, but
So we'll
if
do
you
the funny.
don't
Misericordia,
kill
why
him
not?
and he hits
Hits.
back, he's going to pretty
Will not
well take
wound.
you down.
We are looking at so his normal attack.
We've got the melee with the Sagittar versus the Sagittarium Guard.
We'll hit. What's the toughness of that thing again?
I want to say
7. 2.
yeah, 7.
So 2 at no AP.
That's 3 up.
Blind.
Yep, 3 up.
I punch you.
1, you dent me. How much damage was it?
Just 1.
Okay, so I'm down to 8.
Okay. Okay. I'll take it.
That was my phase, right?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get assassination yet,
Yeah.
but I did get no retreat, no surrender.
Okay. Well, there's no retreat, no surrender.
Oh, no, wait. I gotta do morale for them.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll take 1.
I don't get to do the funny thing
No,
yet.
Mr. Right.
Leadership 8, so as long as I don't roll a 6.
6. No.
Okay, so yeah, I got this. No failed morale. Oh wait, I did fall back. Yeah. Never mind.
Okay. I guess that's that. Going to turn 3. Got 3.
Yep.
So 15. Five for each, right?
If you have 1 or more objective or 2 or more objectives, so that's 10. And then 2 for each you claim, so
So
6.
10. So 16. Okay. Blood and guts. Somebody's a CP to ignore that. To place it because it is. I'll get it back. Trajan's alive and I am happy. Even though I really should. Okay. So we go to area denial.
Wait, when do I score that? At the end of.
Okay.
So I do get 7.
You'll get 7 when it gets to your turn, yeah.
That was my turn.
No. So do you get it at the end of your?
That was the end of my turn. Because you're first player.
So you get it at the end of your turn?
Yeah, which was just now. So that 16 we should have counted earlier. Because that was only turn 2.
Do you want me to put it up then, or?
It's still gonna equal.
Okay. Well, no, for turn 3 right now.
If it's how you're keeping.
Because it'd be 16. It would be 16 the previous turn, 16 this turn.
Maybe. I mean,
Because
I could kill
Can
you.
I see it?
Yeah.
Well, no, I was confused.
The end of the player's turn. Oh no, wait, that's to claim.
At the end of each player's command phase, so you wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So
I will
you
get.
get the-
So you get the 16 now.
Yeah. And you'll get the 7 this coming turn.
Yes.
All right, cool. Trajan's alive. I'm happy. Staying in Rendax, of course. Why wouldn't I? I'm just gonna keep moving up the board.
What card did you say? 101?
On my thing, you know. Coming to bust some rhymes. You're gonna move my captain closer, like within an inch. I'm coming.
All right, moving that
So,
captain
because Chandler
into
likes
melee
to be
with the
a
Sagittar.
Mean guy. I'm gonna advance these. I'm gonna advance these Saggers.
Adam, you can get your title back. You just have to give me a much better compliment than John. And I will give
Not
you
forget
your
about
fan
him.
of
I
the
wanted to
week
get closer, but that probably won't
title
happen.
back.
Blade Champion's coming on the prowl.
And here it is. The Blade Champion is coming out from the box.
I mean, yeah.
Just leave him there and then surprise me.
Here he is. The man, the myth, the legend, the box man.
11 inches.
He is coming out of the box. Maybe it was a tactical decision on Matt's part.
As any good battlefield commander, I understand when things happen outside of my control.
Look at Matt pontificating like he's Julius Caesar over here.
You're retreating?
What a nerd.
Yes. Because.
He's about to activate his trap card.
I thought custodians never retreated.
Might think,
And he's running away.
however,
Jack calling him out right there. Custodians never retreat. And there is the main man himself, Trajan Valeris, retreating. Jack just called him out. Are you going to sit there and take that, Matt?
no. Which is why it is time.
There it is. It's Terminator time.
Not just that.
I mean, you still retreated, so.
Oh, no, I know.
But, for all intents and purposes, that means you've lost. Spiritually.
Oh, man.
Which is not good for custodians.
Maybe. We're going to see you as the dead cow at the end of the game.
Oh, man. This has probably been the
think you have a
chirpiest week
talent.
we've had with the smack talk. You love to see it.
I can't kill it. You're Cal.
Civility just out of the window. Devastating.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Because I know they get separate afterwards.
no, not just that. I'm going to advance this dude back here.
Definitely excited when we go into our bonus week. Not next week, but the next week we're going to have one bonus round with two of our players, and we will actually have two commentators that week. It'll be me and Graham. Definitely interested to see how that goes. Very excited to see where all of this goes.
Into the
Let's see it here. Looks like we're moving into the shooting phase.
right here. Like,
See, and the great thing now that Trajan's out of melee, there's plenty of stuff to protect him.
3 wounds. You know the drill. Flat save.
Right, some shooting going into the bike.
Was it no AP? Okay, they're fine.
It's technically 1 AP, but you ignore it.
Yeah, so they're fine. It's nice when we're the only army with armor of contempt.
Sedge Armor in the middle are going to shoot your berserkers.
Right when you get the buff.
Because they smelly.
I get it. You're scared of them. I wouldn't want to fight them either.
Well, you know, Custodes are superior tactics, so I gotta know when to retreat, know when to deploy, and unleash the lines.
Right.
More attacks.
You humans and you're retreating.
You're making 5 saves.
Maybe not just one, but you ignore it.
6 ups. Save 3. How much damage?
2 damage pop.
Okay, so 4, feel no pain.
Can't see it on this table. It sounds like something got knocked over at one of the other tables.
3 go through.
So.
Yes. Good. Unleash your anger.
Hey, I get it. I wouldn't want to fight them either. I think you're out of Sagittarius.
Well, he has a 4 staff.
No. I wish to do something fun. I'm gonna have my 2 guys back there. Shoot. Yes, I am outside the phone. We're gonna be looking at. So I'm gonna be shooting them at the same
What
time.
we're looking at here, so we had Jack make that
We're
breakout
gonna be looking at.
that he started last turn. Matt responded by
The Warriors.
dropping in those Terminators like I was expecting to reinforce his front line and maintain that breakout. I'm really...
You're looking at a strength.
It's gonna be kind of interesting because on the one hand, you know, Jack is back in the position where he kind of started, where he is
So
a little more surrounded. He's a little more locked into his deployment zone. His forces are spread a little thin here and there. And he's unable to capture those center objectives. But he has forced Matt to retreat with Trajan.
Now
The Terminators that have been brought in,
captain into the big guy.
they are going to,
can he make it?
they.
Yes.
Barely.
There's of course always a chance the Terminators are going to charge in, but there is a chance that they're going to fail. He's got a 9-inch here, and he does get the 9-inch. Okay, so he's going to keep Jack locked in there, at least with one of those Terminator squads.
Consolidate the 3.
Yeah, he doesn't have the melee one, right? So 60.
And we're going 13.
People. So he's going to move those Terminators in. It's going to lock that call.
So they do have an ability if they don't fight in the phase they die, they get to fight.
So they have a fight on that. Yeah. I'm gonna charge the shield captain.
Jack let him know that it looks like that call's got to fight on die.
That's 12. He's
Oh my gosh, 12-inch charge. Dang.
I'm gonna pass him my dice. And Mr. Bannerman into it.
That wasn't terrible for
9. He's in. Just slide one.
Those guys are deadly.
There it is. Looks like that paid off. He's locked him back in. Now, the one thing, he's got him locked in, but that Hecaton is pretty well free to do
It'll
what
be a
he
12er.
needs.
But I'm trying
Unless,
to get the blade champion in on the dudes.
oh my gosh, he's going to try that Blade Champion.
finally.
No, not quite.
Okay, it was worth a shot. I'm gonna punch the call with my shield captain.
Okay.
This one. There's 2 points.
And I kill the unit on objective.
So
Very interesting.
so first things first, as per our newfound custom together, Misericordia. Hits.
Whatever you want. Whatever.
Looking at a strength,
5 on that.
5 into toughness. What's the call's and
Kind of to get into a little bit of the rumor mill territory, detract a little from the game as they're kind of finishing up this fighting.
AP minus 2.
It's pretty well accepted by most of the community that we've got 10th edition right around the corner coming up.
How many wounds is he?
Really curious to see. Obviously, each time a new edition comes out, we're going to see some major changes in the game.
We're going to go into the shield captain's main attacks. I'll let you.
Lots of different leaks. I'm not going to go into any of the leaks or rumor mill stuff, but I will kind of open this up to chat, kind of get a little bit of discussion going. What would you like to see in 10th edition for those of you who are kind of tuning in? I know that there's a lot of people. 9th edition has been a very interesting edition. I'm actually of the camp in general. I really liked 9th edition for 40K. I do think that there were some missteps along the way, but in general, I think it was really good for the game, especially in bringing the capacity for more balanced, fun, and inventive small game play. Typically, the game's always been a 2,000 point standard. Call goes down there. Typically, the game's always been that 2,000 point standard where you really didn't feel like you were playing a game of 40K unless you were playing at least 2,000 points. But what we're finding, and this is what, a big part of what we wanted to illustrate with this narrative league, in doing it in a grow style where we started at 1,000 points in those first 2 weeks, we moved up to 1,500 in week 3 and 4, and now we've moved into the full 2,000 point games. We've seen interesting games pretty much every week. That is one of the really cool things about what they did with 9th edition in giving more support to those 500 point and 1,000 point games, is that we get to see a small point meta evolve, and we get to see what happens in these more, I don't want to necessarily call them skirmish style games, but in these smaller point games. They're still interesting, and they still feel generally pretty robust and balanced. So I'm going to kind of throw it out to chat, see if we've got any opinions up there. What do you want to see in 10th edition, and do you think we're going to see more support for these small table play games? I know that was a pretty controversial decision that Games Workshop made when they made the minimum table size. For the last several editions, 40K has always been played on a 6-foot by 4-foot table. As you guys can see, the game that they're playing with the battle boards here is actually a little smaller than that. I want to say it's 44 by 90 or 44 by 60. So something to kind of go. I'm wondering genuinely if they're going to be, supporting more of these smaller table sizes, or if they're going to go back to a bigger style game. Definitely something that I'm curious to see with the community, how you all feel about that as we move into what I'm wagering is going to be the end of 9th edition and the beginning of 10th edition.
So, 2 spins. How much damage are they? It doesn't matter. I'm not rolling that many.
Yeah, it's 2 about.
Yeah. So,
He will fight on death.
yep. So they stay there.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, Call's going to fight on death. Let's see it.
Fight phase, technically.
Okay, so if it's at the end of fight phase, we'll jump over to.
Fight's on death at the end of the fight phase, so we're going to move over to some of the other melee that's going on the board.
No, wait. I can't fight now.
Fight now? Okay, let's do it.
Oh, wait, nope. I stand corrected. He is able to fight now. In this situation, more of just a formality at this point, but there are situations in which that would be a really important designation, especially once you get into alternating fighting.
Okay.
That fight at the end of the phase versus fight on death definitely
2 attacks. So that
can cause some interesting
16
developments
attacks.
there. 16 attacks, holy cow.
I'm surprised someone did.
Even Trajan didn't even get that many attacks. Holy cow.
Surprising you get 16. What's
What
the
weapons does the call have?
choice of attacks?
I need to read more into my Votann.
It's either sweep or strike.
Oh, okay. So
So when I did it earlier, I did the strike. which is
certain
just-
that makes sense. So certain models in the game
Damage.
might have 2 different attack
Loading.
profiles for a single
Same
weapon, and
AP,
it's usually denoted as sweep
lower
and
damage.
strike. So sweep means you get more attacks, but the damage is lower. Strike is you get fewer attacks, but it's a lot more damage, and usually a higher AP and a higher strength and all of that. Okay, so that makes sense. So he's choosing to go he's trying to whittle Matt down with a bunch of attacks rather than hit him with a couple really powerful attacks. Because remember, Custodes typically have some pretty high invuln saves and are going to be able to shrug off some of those high damage attacks strictly because they have an invuln save. And a lot of times, I think, if I remember correctly, a Custodian Terminator has a 4-up invuln, so Jack could hit and wound with every attack, and then half of them would still fail just based on the numbers there.
One less, and then you
I thought it was only -2.
Nope, -3.
So just one damage shot.
Yeah.
2 fails.
2 damage.
Okay, one guy's down to 2 wounds.
Okay. Now he dies. And now I judge you.
He dies, and Judgment. And that's going to move those Terminators ever closer. Not quite enough to lock anything up in melee, but still just a huge threat there.
They each become their own independent unit, so I assume it.
Wondering how Jack, because I mean, he does have that. He's got a couple squads that are additionally locked up in his backline, but he does have a couple different shooting lanes. You could go after those Terminators. Honestly, for my money, just kind of looking at the way the board is right now. There's a part of me that wonders, because this is a weird situation where just because of what's left on the board,
Misericordia wounds, AP -2.
Jack actually has a little better mobility at this point. And this is just me. I would almost ignore the Terminators at this point. Get those vehicles out of there and try to maybe swing. He's got that Sagittar on that backline. Maybe try to swing it around and just clear out the middle. Because I think, honestly, at this point, that's going to be Jack's only
3 saves.
Only hope is if he is able to just get his guys out of that corner and start clearing out. I mean, the Sagittarian Guard in the center there, that Blade Champion is a pretty juicy target at this point. Clear out that middle. Sure, he's going to be surrounded,
How many fails?
but I'm just not sure that he has anything that can reliably kill the Terminators.
Does he explode?
No.
Definitely have some good discussion here talking about the smaller point games for 40K. I definitely agree, Adam. Like I said, I really liked 9th edition specifically for the support for smaller point games. I definitely think that there were some missteps, especially with, I really like, on paper, I really like the rules for Crusade, and especially how they operate with, if you're doing some kind of like Grow League Crusade sort of thing, where you can start at 500 points, work your way up to 3,000 points, and still have quite a bit of gameplay.
Okay.
The roster building of Crusade, I think, is a lot, just for my taste. Like, I know some people who play Crusade, they love it, they love the roster building, they love the grit that comes with it. Just not for me. But that's one of the things that I've said for a long time. Thinking back to when I got into 40K at the tail end of 7th edition, and I've been playing ever since. And prior to 40K, I played War Machine, and prior to that, obviously, I'd played Dungeons and Dragons and some other like smaller skirmish style games. And as great as it is to do these big 2,000 point games, there's 2 major things that go into
Captain scooting 3 inches closer.
the playability and the fun factor, honestly. The first thing is the cost. 40K obviously is not the cheapest. There's a lot of models that are needed. It's not exactly the cheapest hobby to get into in general. It's one of the great things about miniature market is that a lot of times with the 40K products and a lot of their products in general, they usually are at a discounted rate, so it does help offset some of that cost. And when you have a game like 40K, and when you look at 7th edition and previous editions, where if you weren't playing at that 2,000 point limit, you really weren't having a fully fleshed out experience in the game. It turned a lot of people off, and so I definitely agree there. When we first started running games here at the Cave Springs location, I mean, we built this community pretty much from nothing. When the store opened up about 2 years ago. And that was one of the great things when we would have people walk in. I had a 500 point army that I just kept here for any new player to learn the game. It was an army that I knew like the back of my hand. It was an army that I could instruct players, and it was great because a lot of the people that you actually see here playing in the store, several of them did start like that. They were walk-ins who they just wanted to see what the store was. We got them, got them on the table with a 500-point list, and they were able to have a fully fleshed out gaming experience without having to invest hundreds of dollars into things. They were able to learn the basics of the game. And kind of to John's point, this is something that I've talked a lot about with some of our newer players, that they come in and they see all the cool models on the board, and they see all the cool models on the shelf, and they want to jump in and they want to buy 10 squads of Space Marines, and they want to buy their tanks, they want to buy their knights, they want to start building out this army. And one of the things that I've told a lot of people is more points don't necessarily make the game more fun. Now I do think that there is kind of a happy sweet spot. I think 500 points is really fun in the right context, especially with the new boarding action rules, which genuinely one of my favorite things to come to 9th edition is those boarding action rules. But one of the things that's kind of worth thinking about, and I mentioned this to players, there are a lot of rules in this game. There's a lot of stuff to memorize. And someone who got in at the tail end of 7th already had been playing some war games, knew the fundamental mechanics of how a war game works, and got into Space Marines, which is probably one of the most accessible armies to jump into. It is sort of the Coca-Cola brand of 40K, as it were. There's still a ton of rules, and what I've told a lot of people is more points does not necessarily mean more fun. More points means more rules. So having that support where you can teach a game at 500 points, you can get someone into the basics, you can get them comfortable with the different phases of the game, move them up to 1,000 points where it feels very robust without necessarily being it's robust without being cumbersome, and slowly easing them into that 2,000 points. When I started playing, I jumped straight into 2,000 points. My first couple games were really, really challenging. And this is someone who had been playing, I'd been playing war games for a while. I knew how these games operate. I knew the ebb and flow, and it was still a challenge. My first 2,000 point game, I think lasted 6 hours. That's a lot of time and energy. So, yeah, I definitely agree there. I really like the smaller point games. I know one thing that I definitely have. I do think that there's a pretty strong argument to be had.
We're gonna shoot.
Mixed feelings about the minimum table size. I like the idea of minimum table size in general and having a standard. I also really like playing games on a good old 6x4 table. I've got a 4x8 at my house personally, and there is something about having a little more room to maneuver that I do think adds an additional layer of tactic to the game. But the nice thing with minimum table size is that 60 by 44 size, that can fit on a large kitchen table without having to have a dedicated gaming table. So I definitely see it both ways. I do like that they have a little more standardization for the game, but I do somewhat miss the days of when I first got into the game, 7th edition going, and I didn't play a whole lot because I was playing War Machine primarily at the time. Totally different game, totally different scale. But I remember going over to my LGS at the time and watching a tournament go, and they were playing on 4x8 tables as opposed to 4x6. And there is just something kind of cool about seeing just a table that big. And the models moving around and having a little bit of room to wiggle. So
it's more than 5.
Ooh, only one.
Yeah. So -4 or 3?
So 4 up. He's fine.
Saving that wound there.
Yeah, I should have rerolled that.
I can spend my 2 command points to put another
To wound. Yeah, I am gonna reroll the wound.
and take down.
Just makes it.
That's okay.
God damn.
Man, Jax is trying to force those wounds through, and he just can't do it.
You could target them with the Hackathon.
I think technically they're closer.
Nope. Lookout, sir, doesn't apply. Unless, like, is there a rule that it has to target the closest enemy?
No,
So, yeah, no.
just lookout sir is what I was going on for.
Yeah, no.
Two from there.
For him, he would have lookout.
I take that one too.
And then I do 3.
And I spend my.
So then the Hecaton will fire the beamers into him.
Spit firing?
Yeah.
The anti-counterattack.
All right, looks
You
like
know,
the
everything but
Hecaton's
the
going to
Magna
fire.
The Magna Rail is going into
Okay.
Is he going
everything
into-
Trajan but the Magna.
He's going everything except the Magna Rail into Trajan. Oh yeah, that's right. Because I think the Magna Rail can actually, it's like one of the only weapons that can fire into melee.
No,
So
wait, I did give it to him. So it is.
might not be a bad idea there.
Yeah, because he was. Okay, so it does hit.
That's it? Okay.
Strength 14.
So 2s.
Give it.
The only part
So-
of these guys that
No invuln. Yeah. 2d3 plus 6.
One guy's dead.
Okay.
Go down to 4.
I lose one.
Okay. I'll do the. Well, that's all that's left. 6 shots. 2, 4. Hitting on 2s.
Throughout this entire game, you're slowly evolving like Kylo Ren, bro. I want every gun to fire on that man.
Oh, wait. 2 of those were auto wounds. Strength 7, so the rest 3s. Okay, 4 at -2.
All right, let's see these saves.
2 fails, damage.
2 each.
2 damage each going into Trajan.
Trajan is dead.
There he
Yes.
goes.
No
Trajan
warlords.
goes down.
No.
Both warlords are
Shoulder
out.
the
So
mantle.
what that means?
My blade
Oh
champion
wait.
is now my warlord.
Oh shoot! What a move there. So Jack takes out Trajan, which allows
So-
which
I kept
forces
hearing-
the
I kept
rule for
hearing
the
someone
no
say that,
CP
oh, that's
regaining now that this call is dead. So neither player would normally
know
be
that
able to
shit. That's a-
recover their CP. But
I learned about it.
Matt had a trick up his sleeve there. He is able to change his warlord over to his blade champion, so Matt is still able to recover his CP each round.
I guess with the new, with the Arsenal, I can literally.
Man, John, you really do want that Fan of the Week
Very interesting
award
game.
this time.
Like, very interesting.
No, and so here's where this gets interesting. Like
Yes, thank
That's like killing a Primarch, man.
the wild card mission rule with this could not be prepared for. There's a whole list of mission rewards that or things that could happen in the mission that are kind of those wild cards rules. There's a whole list. There's a whole plethora of things that can happen, and you got to be kind of prepared for anything. And here's where you see that where
well, the beamer will fire
Matt
into them.
had no way of
Everything's
necessarily
firing
knowing
into
that
them.
CP rule is going to pop
So
in.
beamer first. Hits.
But he knows his army well enough, and he had prepared for a situation where he was able to pop that, and not having access to
Strength
CP,
8,
that is
so
a devastating hit. But being able to change your warlord on the fly like that,
2 damage.
2 damage, so reduce 1 to 2 wounds. Okay. So 1 just down to 2.
definitely something you like to see.
I'll let you finish because I might have to pull them off. So if I'm gonna go ahead and shoot the rest. Accidentally bumped that with my hand. Accidentally bumped it when I was trying to.
Threes.
Yeah, my bad.
2 auto wounds.
Yeah, my bad.
That's strength 4 you have now. So 2 at -1.
One fail, one pass. Is that all they're shooting?
No, there's still one more.
1 down to 1 wound. So he's down to 1 wound instead of 2. Sorry, instead of 3.
All right, Magna Rail.
All right, here comes that Magna Rail.
Magna Rail, fire first.
No, the beamer fired first.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Oh, what's the
I don't
strength?
think the strength 9. So, and you're 5, so no.
So,
hate to see it.
So yeah, that's all my shooting. Cool. For that unit. Yes.
That's a really good question. If Space Marines are Coke, what would you say is Pepsi? That's a really, really good question. Okay, so Matt says he thinks it's Chaos Space Marines, and I think that's the easy answer.
However, to break it up, Thousand Suns are definitely Mr. Piss.
Yeah, I guess.
Dr.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Like I think
Dr. Thunder.
I think Chaos Space Marines definitely is the easy is like the easy answer for Pepsi. But I think what you have to look into, not to get like too philosophical with this question, but
Okay, so Graviton Rifle, 3 shots.
you know, if Space Marines are the Coke, and if Space Marines are you know the big popular poster boy faction, what would be the second? And I really I do think that Chaos Space Marines are obviously a very popular faction. I'm not sure if I agree that they're Pepsi.
5, so
But I don't necessarily have a better answer. Maybe Imperial Guard.
3.
Maybe.
Guy's dead.
That could also be me just giving favoritism because I also play Guard.
No.
You know, it might a good that does kind of bring up because each edition, generally, you'll have Space Marines launch with some other.
The bike's gonna fire those.
You know, with some other army in like kind of a launch box.
9 shots first.
So I would say for 9th edition, it's actually probably Necrons. They had the Indominus box. They got a big range refresh. They've gotten quite a few models released this edition. But in previous editions, it has been because let's see, I started with the Dark Vengeance box, which was in 7th, and that was Dark Angels versus the Crimson Slaughter,
-2.
which are Chaos Space Marines. So I think 7th edition, you're definitely looking at that. But 8th edition, you've got Death Guard, and they had a huge resurgence, and they had a big range refresh. 9th edition, you have Necrons, and just looking at kind of our local meta. And looking at what most of the people in sort of this play group play.
It's going to remain that way for all the other Custodes also.
I don't know. That's just a really good question in general because we have because I know Matt plays Necron as well. Rich, who Rich also plays Necron in our group. David plays Necron. You're going to see him playing in 2 weeks. I would say for 9th edition, I gotta go with a controversial take. I think Necron, at least for 9th, would be the Pepsi. Strictly because it's like everyone has a Necron army right now because all of the 2-player battle boxes came with it.
You still have the sheet, right?
I'll definitely change my opinion and once we move into 10th, though. But I think to answer that question a very roundabout way, with my personal opinion, whoever Space Marines are fighting in the launch box is Pepsi.
Autocannon first.
Don't at me with that. I'm right because I have the microphone.
Fine.
Okay. Now
I do like to get philosophical, Adam. You're right.
1 goes through. Yep, -3.
Fine.
Sure.
Charge.
I'm going to go ahead and get a score update here. 1 second. I'm going to step away from the mic.
That guy back there, he's gonna put his melta into.
After this turn, I can really.
Yeah. So that's total. That also includes an objective he got for this turn. No. I'm left side, he's right side. I feel like a charge here would be funny.
That's what I'm thinking, honestly.
Why not?
There's a chance.
Why not?
5-inch charge.
Yeah. You're gonna throw this thing back at me. Do it. Why not?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Why not?
Bike into your lone guy. Makes it.
Are you okay with my turn?
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, the glue's acting weird.
I know some people can be finicky, so.
It's just the glue is acting weird on it. Because one, I think already, yeah, this one already came off.
Alrighty. We charge.
I think that's the only charge, yeah.
Okay, we'll use
Yeah.
first here.
So we
I
discard
think we
the
had extra attack for the guy. Yeah, so 4. Hitting on 3s. Wounding on. Wounding on 5s. Nope.
I'm gonna choose to fight over there with my shield captain. We're gonna go to do so. We're gonna do the Misericordia. Hits, wounds, -2 for the Misericordia. Into the little deeds.
One stab.
They all shoot at the same time.
Four saves at -2.
-1. So those are 5-ups.
Yeah, squad ball. Judgment.
Who was attacking?
Shield. The guy with the axe.
He has
So
been judged.
I'm gonna scoot closer towards these guys, but I'm not gonna get in engagement with them. So just outside of engagement with them. So I'm not gonna touch them, but I'm gonna be like at 1 inch stretch. Cool. And then I'll just fight over here. So his fights with the Misericordia.
And the other guy's gonna do the same.
Is that a vehicle?
No.
No? Okay, so only one. 1 at -2.
Nope.
Just 1 damage.
Okay, he's alive by 1.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I guess we jump into turn 4.
Yep. I got assassination. Which he.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Actually, I might have gotten this one too.
What is it?
I did not fall back, and I did not fail morale.
Yeah, because you couldn't take morale. So,
Yeah, so-
5.
Yep.
So we got that score update. It does look like they've moved into, scored some more points since then, but last
Behind enemy
update was
lines?
33 to 17. So moving into turn 4.
So I'm going to go.
Looks like Matt definitely has taken that lead, but just kind of overhearing the game, it looks like Jack just took 10 points from the Tempest of War deck. So Matt's got a lead, but we're going to see if he can keep it. Again, I think at this point in the game, Jack has the mobility where if he can start getting into the back line, holding down some of the objectives that he's already got, and clearing off some of those straggler units, may be able to pull it back.
Fell back.
I got really good ones, like turn 1, as long as I pushed up and tried to kill the character, I was guaranteed those ton of points.
I literally had one to where I had to control mine and then take control one in no man's land. I had one where I had to have you not within 6 inches of my deployment zone, but I didn't have that all game. There's on game. And then I had one that I had to have you not within 6 inches of the middle of the board. I was just like, all right, well, making a mad dash.
I'm gonna move. I'm gonna advance this guy again.
And once again, just remind everybody, if you like what you're watching, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We definitely would love your support here on YouTube. And if you would mind going ahead and sharing this, we definitely want to bring more people into this community, bring people into the streams. And we think that, this is going to be a great way to get those who are maybe on the fringes and interested in getting into Warhammer and wargaming in general. We'd love for this to be a great starting point for those who are new to the game. So don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and if you like some of the models that you're seeing today, and you are interested in maybe picking up some of the Warhammer 40k models, definitely check out the bit.ly link in the description to the Miniature Market website. There you can purchase pretty much any of the products that you see here on the table today, including the terrain set, which was painted by Tyson, who is our director for this. You've got the Leagues of Votann models as well, one of the newer armies for 40k. I believe they have a combat patrol box, so if you're wanting to get started with that 500 points, definitely a great value to get jumped into the game like we were talking about before. Great thing about 9th edition 40k, and something we're hoping to see as we move forward into 10th edition, is that support for those smaller point games. So if you like the Leagues of Votann, definitely pick up their combat patrol box. Same thing with the Imperial Guard. The only model on the board that you won't be able to buy is actually the Sagittarium with the bolters, because that actually comes on an upgrades group. But the Adeptus Custodes actually have probably one of the best value combat patrol boxes in the game. If you, depending on how you outfit it, it ends up being like 900 points or something for what is essentially a 500 point box. You can pretty much build an entire Custodes army with just a couple of the combat patrol boxes, and everything is valuable in that box. So once again, if you're interested and you're wanting to pick up maybe one of these armies, definitely check out the bit.ly link in the description, taking the Miniature Market website. Most of those prices as well are going to be discounted pretty significantly from what you might find at other locations and even the Games Workshop store. So definitely check it out there. Additionally, if you are interested in maybe participating in one of the leagues, maybe watching the live stream in person live, or watching some of the other games we have tonight, this is not the only game that we've got going on tonight. We actually have, it looks like, 4 other league games going on tonight. If you want to get involved, watch the games, get a little bit of feedback from some of our other players, or talk to any of our commentators about the game, definitely come and check out the Cave Springs location Miniature Market. We'll be here pretty much every Tuesday doing these streams. Or if you don't want to make the trip out to St. Peter's, go check out the other Miniature Market location on Manchester. They'll be doing streaming of various other games going forward. I know that we, as far as 40k events go in the future, we do have our Warhammer 40k mini convention coming up here in a couple weeks. And I'm going to wager that we're probably going to have some streaming going on at that mini convention. If you're interested in the game, that's going to be a good place to start out. We're going to be running game demos. We're going to be having some mini tournaments, probably some painting contests, all sorts of things going on at that mini convention. So if you're interested in getting into that game and you are a new player, or if you're a player who is seasoned, familiar with the game, and you're just looking for more people to get involved in the hobby with, definitely come into the store, whether it's for that mini convention or whether you just want to come and hang out with us.
So that'll be my shooting. We'll jump into charge.
All right, looks like Matt's going to jump into the charge phase now.
So first things first, the 2 closest guys are in charge of the XL.
Okay, so then they're good.
I don't know, let's go back there. Pretty great. Yeah, they get hard.
So we'll do the autocannon first.
Yeah, hitting just as hard as the top. Well, I don't know about the strength.
And it auto strength. Maybe -2.
And then Dust Guard can make it
6. That's kind of
Lower.
It was CP, I'm kind of hoping they kind of
and the big one. Big one.
continue to make it, because like the
Let's see it. Oh,
So they're in
Yeah.
by 8 inches.
no Overwatch. Gonna wager that land fortress is about to go down, and that's probably gonna be what clinches this victory for Matt. Just looking at the board in general, I don't see a lot of options right now for Jack to pull out of this. Now, there might be something that I'm not seeing. But I think Matt's and the two things that I think really clinched this game, unless Matt makes a pretty crucial error here. Locking Jack into the deployment zone, that's been a big theme that we've seen so far in these leagues.
Charge. 5. He will make it.
A big theme that we've seen in this league so far is
Immediately going to jump into
players really struggling to get out of their deployment zones. And it's very hard when you get locked in like that to fight back and to battle back. And I think Jack is doing a valiant job. But my honest look is I think a couple of key mistakes here, just from my personal thoughts.
firing the vehicle.
Not charging in with those bikers. Not that was necessarily a game-winning or losing decision, but that definitely hurt. Looks like Matt's starting to whiff some rolls there, so we'll see. Maybe the Hackathon will survive. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see a comeback here. But I think that was a pretty crucial mistake early on. Was either not pulling those bikes out or reverse not charging them in. I think playing conservatively there was a rough decision. I do think that there might have been some mistakes in deployment. Matt had such a good initial deployment of his models. He locked his stuff down really well. He didn't open up a lot of shooting lanes. And getting that first turn was really crucial there because he was able to get the bikes, his jet bikes over pretty quickly. They were able to be a pretty good threat right from the beginning. And then he was able to creep everything out from around the corners once Jack moved. And I think had we seen a little more aggression early on from Jack, we might have been seeing a different game. But a big thing as well, though, is when you look at the leagues of Votann, they kind of need to take some punishment before they can dish it back out because of those grudge tokens. So maybe that was part of it, was play a little conservatively, get those grudge tokens out on the board, and hope to really win it in the late game. But that is where this gets kind of rough, is the Custodes really like to be an early game army, and the Votann really like to be a late game army. So, it kind of comes down to can the Votann weather the storm long enough to get those grudge tokens built up, or can the Custodes come down hard in those initial phases? So I think that's what we're seeing here.
No, the way I'm rolling, 9 points.
Okay. Strength 8. There. Let me find it.
A strap here that's going to allow me to just increase the wound. We go from a 4 to a 3.
I can do 2. Not well.
Going back to poll, we've still got a 50-50 there. 10 votes, 50% Custodes, 50% Votann. Interesting.
Definitely helps. 5 saves and only -2 from the shield gap.
1, so 3s again.
Do it?
Okay.
He's a hank of chunk.
Same thing.
I can spend 2 for me to go off 1.
Only 4.
3s again.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's how it's gonna be.
Saving out of that.
He lives.
Interesting.
Okay.
Hackathon
I
is
guess we go to the last
still
dude.
up. He is surrounded. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to pull it out and get it anywhere meaningful. But the fact that it's not dead
Down to 10, seriously?
Yeah.
means he can still be a threat. And as long as he doesn't have those
healed it up
exploding
8.
blast weapons,
Without it getting touched.
he should be able to There's a chance here. I think it's slim, but I think there is a chance that he might be able to pour out some more damage. And now, I think Matt was really banking on being able to destroy that Hecaton land fortress. And the fact that he didn't, he's now got a lot of his army really, really tied up
We're fighting him.
in that center board in a place where
Well, 6. It's got
they're not going to be terribly... Like, they're locking up the land fortress, but it's also locking them up. So it does give Jack a little bit of an opportunity here with what little he has left. Again, he's still got the Sagittar. He's still got some Hearthkin left.
You're fighting back.
But, yeah,
the Hecaton first.
Hecaton's going to fight back.
The fact that I killed nothing in melee is very annoying.
Yeah, you did better in shooting.
Interesting.
Well, I'm at 10, so I'm still at top right. So 6 attacks.
Interesting indeed. He's gonna try to fight back. I don't think we're gonna see anything
Yes.
really of.
All auto wounds.
Oh, all auto wounds indeed.
The shield captain? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so 4 auto wounds.
Oh, because of his grudge tokens, he's still able to wound with the Hecaton. Like I was saying,
There's no AP, it's just...
that's like the one thing with Votann is that they become more deadly as it goes. Shield Captain's still okay, but the Hecaton suddenly becoming much more dangerous in melee than it has any right being.
3s. Actually, is it 3s? Yeah, it is 3s. Okay. Strength 5 into your 5. 2 at nothing.
1 fail.
1 damage. Woo! I did better than you and me.
Ooh. Salt in that wound, the Hecaton land fortress
That'll be the
outperforming the custodian terminators in melee. But that is one of the things you run into with these dice games, though.
10 points.
Sometimes the dice gods are fickle.
Okay.
The
winds of the warp
What do I've got?
are a mysterious and fickle
Them
thing.
down. Storm hostile objective. Well, I can get the
Get one.
dorm.
I also have that one.
Bottom of 4 here.
I don't think I'm getting grind them down. I just don't have the models for it.
Again, I still just thinking, looking at the board, looking at the objective placement. Unless Jack really pulls something. Oh, wait.
Berserkers.
Oh, shoot.
Hop out.
He's got more Berserker. Oh, my gosh. How did I miss that? Okay, Jack's still in this game. Yeah, that's a game changer right there. Jack's still in this.
I might be able to get deploy homing beacon.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't
So
know.
we've got the Berserkers
But
out.
either way, I'm going that way.
Definitely, he's got the Berserkers. He's still got the Sagittar. He's got a couple of those Hearthkin in the back. This, I'll have to get a score update because that's a big deal. And that must have been what I missed when I was looking earlier and I mentioned those Hearthkin. I thought it was Hearthkin it was actually more Berserkers. So that was what was hiding in that Sagittar. See, I thought he had deployed everything from the Sagittar and from the Hecaton, but no, I was wrong. He still had one squad of Berserkers, which could swing the game back in his favor. I don't know. Because they're in a pretty prime charging position right now, but Matt's still got. I mean, that's just a lot of melee to chew through on Matt's side. I mean, like the Berserkers are a great dedicated melee unit, but like
Just gonna fire a point
every custodian is a great melee unit. So interesting, definitely really interesting to see that.
Alright, then I'm gonna spend 2 on my guy.
He's gonna.
Definitely, once again, want to remind everybody, if you like what you're watching, like, comment, subscribe, share us on your social. We would definitely love to see your support there, both in the internet community and in the community in general. We're very excited as we're coming into finishing up this 5th week and moving into our 6th week of the stream. We're really excited to see where the stream has gone. We've been very thrilled to see the support of the community come in and support this stream. So thank you definitely for tuning in this week. And if you'd like to show your appreciation, we would definitely appreciate that. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you want to get updates on future streaming events, whether it's 40K, BattleTech, Star Wars Legion, Dungeons and Dragons, other tabletop RPGs, Digimon, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering. We are going to be having all kinds of different streaming events going on at Miniature Market nearly every day of the week. And of course, all of those streams are going to be archived. So if you want to go back and see some of the previous streams and episodes, definitely come back and see. We've got currently, once this goes up, we will have every week except for last week's match up from our narrative league. So you'll be able to see the growth and how it begins. You will definitely you'll see Jack in the week 2 game fighting Nick, but Nick will actually be returning next week. So you'll see his orcs returning to the table.
Yes.
So we're definitely excited to see some of our repeating players
This is crucial.
coming back for later games. And as we move into, kind of the next phase, obviously we've got this narrative league, but we will definitely have streams going on in the future. Competitive leagues, narrative leagues. Like I said before, we're doing Tempest of War today from tonight's narrative matchup, but I'll tell you up front, one of the things that we learned, very quickly in this community, and I am a huge fan of the Tempest of War deck. Anytime we've mentioned we're going to do a Tempest of War league, we get such great feedback from our community. Tempest of War is just an absolute blast to play. So I wouldn't be surprised if our next league would be Tempest of War. And if you'll see more games like this,
Okay, so I'm gonna
definitely interested in seeing where we go from there. And definitely would love to get your feedback on what you want to see streamed here on YouTube. Obviously, we take a lot of feedback from the players as far as planning out what kind of events we're going to be doing and what kind of leagues we're going to be running on the 40K side. But definitely let us know what you would like to see. Maybe it might not be a league, but if you want to see a specific kind of game, if you want to see... last week we really did want to show you boarding actions, but with the holiday and just some general sickness going through the community, we weren't able to. But if you guys want to see boarding actions, definitely let us know, and we'll see what we can do. Maybe we'll do boarding actions in a couple of weeks on a Tuesday. We'll see. Definitely let us know. Really looking forward to kind of seeing where we go moving forward, and definitely thankful for all of your support.
And the Magna Rail are going to go into him.
Magna Rail is going to go into the standard bearer there.
First hits.
They have 3 attacks each. It's something.
Hi-ho, space dorks indeed.
Just for a point, I've been keeping count of how many custodian models I've lost. I've lost the equivalent to a shield company through the entire league now.
So Matt just brought up a kind of a funny point. He's been, since this is a narrative league and players like to kind of keep track of different things for the fluff and the story of it, over the course of the campaign that's been evolving in this free-for-all in the Ghoul Stars, Matt has actually lost the exact amount. As of today, he has lost a shield company's worth of custodians, which... in the 40K universe, that's a big deal. Maybe Matt's not the commander he thinks he is, and maybe Matt shouldn't be pontificating about how great of a commander he is if he's lost an entire shield company. But in all seriousness, we do love to see that kind of score tracking. I know we've had other players in the past and during this league, they've imposed rules on themselves where they're not allowed to use, they don't allow themselves to use certain models depending on how the games run. I know in a previous league that I participated in, we had a week where the players were able to play kill team instead of doing their usual
Strength 5 or 5, so 4.
game type. They were able to go and play kill team instead, and
3.
they. My side of things, so I was playing guard.
Okay.
So my rule was that if I lost the game of kill team throughout the league, I kept track of every loss that I
Sagittarius gonna
took,
fire everything
and
into your guy back
if I by a certain point in the league, if I lost more than I had won, then my legion would fall to chaos, and I was going to start painting chaosy stuff on all of my Tauroxes. But my opponent in one of the games, he actually, during the kill team game, because of the game type we had set up, self-imposed a rule that if I won the game, which involved destroying an ammo depot, or wasn't an ammo depot, it was like a factory. If I was able to destroy his factory, he would not use any kind of armored vehicles in the next round, and he'd be forced to use all infantry. But
Finally painted stamp
if
before
he
it
was
on
successful,
go in the front.
then he wasn't allowed to use, he had to like go with a heavy support detachment and only run all armored. So that's some of the fun things you see with these narrative leagues, is that the players get really invested in their own personal stories and growth, and how the armies are going to react to these various threats that are happening. And so that's always fun to see that. I know in this league we've got a couple players who have made custom models for this that are going to get stronger as the league goes on. It's just all part of the fun of seeing that narrative play.
2 shots. 1. Strength 5, so 3s again? Nothing. Okay. Now the Hecaton Land Fortress is going to fire everything into your Warlord.
Blade champion?
Yes.
Okay.
Autocannon. This is firing everything into his
My
Warlord,
warlord.
the blade guy.
Blade champion.
He has none, but they'll hit. Strength 6 to your. What's his toughness?
Only 5.
Strength 7. 3s. Ouch. Okay, 1 at -2.
1 at -2. Okay. So 1 at -2?
Yes. 4 up.
No.
2 damage.
Okay, he's done 6 wounds.
Okay. The ions. Strength 7 too, I think. Yeah. 3s. All wound dex -2.
-2. Okay. I'm gonna proc his Eagle's Eye. Actually, no. I'm gonna wait on that. 1 fail.
2 damage.
Okay, he's down.
Hecaton's firing everything into that blade champion, trying
Alright,
to get
Magna Rail
him
cannon.
finished off. Magna Rail's going out next.
Need a 3 or better.
3 or better. That ain't it, Chief.
And I don't have C.
I don't think the Magna Rail has done
Praise
like
the Emperor.
anything this game.
It killed a Terminator.
It killed a Terminator. That is not a good return on
Oh, no, wait, it
investment.
killed a bike too.
Oh, it killed a bike. Okay, that's not
Awesome. So that's his shooting.
that's not the worst thing in the
Charge
world.
is-
He always takes the cave every single round.
Well, she's down to up to 4 out of her 5 health.
Do you have a rules question for you, by the way? Since it is going to matter here in a sec. The Blade Champion always fights first. he's going to be charged.
Well, what it is, well, it's not that he always fights first, it's that he has fight first. He's at the top. So I believe the charge will still take priority, but then he gets to fight before anything. So, like, if several things charge, it's like the charger fights first, but then he gets to fight before anything else.
Okay.
If there was a second charge.
Cool.
So they're gonna charge the.
Blade champion?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they make it.
You finally get to do the funny. Blade champion.
Can I get a score update?
Yeah, right here.
Thank you.
I have been faulty in what I've been doing. He's supposed to, you know what? It's
And you know
whatever.
what? They're gonna charge him.
I have forgotten their rule. He's supposed to have superior creation, meaning he
Yeah, they make
doesn't
it.
suffer wounds on 5s. There's a 5-up field note. I haven't been doing it. Oh well.
Okay.
It's my fault for having a dude with literally 4 things a part of him.
So they're gonna attack the blade guy
So,
first.
I will say it is my fault. He does have a 5-up field note that I've completely forgotten, much like Trajan. So
Okay.
we'll just. He has the wounds. I'm not going to backtrack or anything. So
So I just got the score update. It looks like the current score is 59 to 29. Definitely in Matt's favor. I think that
Do
that's...
the gauntlet first.
We can pretty well call the game at this point. I know they're going to go ahead and play it out, and they'll probably talk out the final turn as they go into that, but I don't think that there is any circumstance at this point
We'll see if I can kill him.
that where Jack will be able to make up that point deficit. I could be wrong. If he scores a lot of points this turn, he may be able to score a couple in the final turn and turn it around, but I really think that that's going to be the final nail in that coffin. I really think that
shit. What'd you just?
Matt is going
those
to
two rolls?
take this one.
1 and 3's always fail. So 1.
Okay.
So
At -2.
So 1 minus 2. Okay. It's fine.
Okay, the X's.
Yeah, 1 rolls of 1 and 3 always fail.
They just always have transhuman physiology.
For wounds, yeah. It's the one thing I love about.
So he's got
Yeah. This one.
I can use it diagonal.
13.
Let's do it.
4. 6. Only in a judgment token.
I think I already got 4 damage.
3 at -3.
Because like, you take the big hit.
He's fine. Shrugs off everything.
Okay. Then those guys will attack you.
Shield cap.
Mr. Shieldy Shield. So the guy with the axe will go first.
Looks like those attacks went into Blade Champion, and he was able to shrug it.
One auto one. So, also 5. So 2 at -3.
From who?
The guy with the axe.
Oh, okay. Both fail.
Looks like he put some wounds. It wasn't on the Blade Champion. It looks like it was against the Terminator. It might have been the Shield Captain and Terminator armor.
Shield captain is down 5.
So
Give you a dice.
6.
taking a couple more wounds in there.
So 4, no AP.
Green Guardian, we were attacked.
1 fail.
Definitely agree there, Adam. Magna Rail definitely has not made up its value. Granted, to be fair,
Okay.
you're right. It hasn't lived up to that hype.
I do have that. for
You
7.
know, it ignores invulns.
I already got the
There's a lot that it does,
I got deployed
We're
teleport.
not done yet.
but
It's at the end of my turn. Oh, right.
yes,
Yeah, it's
But
obsolete.
one thing that is at least kind of worth mentioning is that
You didn't have to take one out, right?
I don't think Matt has anything that's really like a desired. I mean, obviously the Magna Rail can kind of kill anything,
No, yeah.
but really the Magna Rail is it's an anti-vehicle weapon. So even though it did kill, what was it? Those two like the bike and the Terminator. I mean, what else was it really gonna kill? Like, just kind of, I mean, like, unless it just doinks Trajan and, you know, turn 1 or whatever, but that is sort of the risk that you go to. Anytime you run with those high strength, high damage, single shot weapons, you know, the Guard have the Vanquisher cannon, which is a very similar thing. You've got the Tau rail guns as well. That's kind of the risk you run when you do these high damage weapons. I think most people agree that it's sort of better to do high strength, medium damage weapons that might have 5 or 6 shots rather than one big hit. But you do hope to see that with that railgun punching through invulns. You know, you do kind of hope.
One reroll just because why not?
You do hope that it would do a little more, but
So
in my experience, I've always tended to lose out anytime I've tried to use like a big single shot weapon.
Your whole next turn?
Dead and 1 on 2.
You can still get defense from because it's your command. Or, I think so. No, it's at the end of my next turn.
All of the axes are going into the Hecaton.
Mine, yeah.
Oh, shoot. I didn't fight with the Hecaton.
Well, no, the Hecaton will fight after.
Yeah, right.
Actually, no, you can fight now. Yeah, pick fights. Yeah.
All right, Hecaton's gonna fight. Let's see it.
All right.
Let's see, all 6s, all auto wounds.
Shield Captain, not the Blade Champion.
Going into the Shield Captain.
I
Interesting.
need somebody with judgment tokens.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. He wants it to go in there so he can have his judgment
3
tokens.
Auto wounds. No AP.
3 wounds, no AP.
2 fails.
Wow.
2 wounds.
See?
Dang!
I'm gonna switch over the die.
Didn't kill anything, but man, that's a lot of wounds for a truck.
Just back it up.
So we're gonna start with the Misericordias.
Beep.
Everyone loves the Misericordias.
I mean, I'm indifferent.
Honk, honk.
Only 2. Minus 2.
Into the Hecaton.
Hecaton. Yeah.
So it's -1, so 3s. Oh, 1 damage.
He's so wonderful.
He's at 9.
I'm gonna do these guys first because these can get rerolls.
Three wounds. It's probably like, what, 3? Yep.
2 go through.
4 wounds.
I did, I reminded you.
Down to 5. It's my chance.
It is kind of interesting, you know. I talked a lot about mistakes that I felt that Jack made in this game, and I haven't actually talked a whole lot about mistakes that I think Matt made in this game. Honestly,
A little sad. If that had been my Blade Champion, that would have been.
I think at this juncture, going after the Hecaton might be a
to
mistake.
make it so I went on 3.
It's so tough to remove. It's got so many wounds, and he's got so many grudge tokens. I almost feel. I mean, he was already locked up in it, but there's a part I almost feel go after objectives, take the licks when it comes to, the range fire it's going to pour out. But I almost feel that
1 goes through.
in continuing to go after it at this point,
Only 2.
So he's down to 3. It's
I think
still
that's
alive.
been a big mistake because it's just soaking up damage.
The
And
greatest cry.
It just puts him in a weird position when he's got those berserkers at his back. He's got, I think
You gonna try and
I
heal him?
think that might have been a crucial mistake. I mean, obviously, I say this, and you know, Matt's running away with the score pretty well.
Deploy teleport homers.
Awesome.
You know, he's running away with the score pretty well and has sustained pretty solid battlefield supremacy. But I do think that that's a mistake. I think that in general, just continuing to pour stuff into the Hecaton
Half got this.
might not have been the play, Chief.
Talk it out, or can you play it out? Your call.
We got time.
Time? All right, we're playing it out. See if I turn 5.
They're going to go ahead and play it out. Yeah, there's not like a ton for them to do. It's going to be mostly resolving these fight phases. I think Matt really wants to play this out so he can kill that Hecaton.
That's a new order.
Ideally, but I
Bring
think...
it down.
Oh, man.
No retreat, no surrender.
Well,
Now he really wants to go after the Hecaton because of Bring It
Grab that
Down.
too, 'cause I don't like
The card that he just drew, if he
Bring
can
It Down,
blow
I
up the
agree.
Hecaton, he's going to get some
Capture
points.
enemy outpost. Also not
So,
too, but you know what? It's
he's
better
got
than-
one that he can take, and if he could take it, that's going to be some points, but
So bring it down has to be.
interesting.
Hecaton.
Again, like I was saying, Tempest of War, that's the nature of the beast. Sometimes stuff happens, and you just got to be prepared for it.
Okay. Going into it, I've got. Can you pass me that, by the way?
What?
This? Yeah. Take it over. I want
Once again, just want to remind everybody that check out the bit.ly link in the description. That'll take you to the Miniature Market website. If there's anything on the table today that you are interested in purchasing or perusing, you can definitely find it on the Miniature Market website or pop on by one of the locations. Obviously, we play here at the Cave Springs location, but they also have their location on Manchester Road. Definitely check out any of the stores.
Okay.
But if you're not able to make the trip or you are not in the St. Louis area, go to that bit.ly link, check out the website, see what deals that they've got going on today. Secondly, kind of want to go into, remind everyone that we do have the Adeptus St. Louis Discord, which is where pretty much all of our players here interact. So that Discord, we've been going for about a year now, and we've got over 110 members. Super, super active. All of the various channels that we have, we've got painting, we've got looking for games, we've got buy, sell, trade, Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 40k, Kill Team, all of those are represented there. So if you're interested in the game, you just want to find the community. I think we've even got, I'll have to check, I think we've got a lore channel in there as well, but if we don't, we can definitely add one if that's something that people seem to be interested in. But we've got discussions happening pretty much 24/7. It's also a really good way if you want to get involved with the community, interacting with the players that you see on stream. Definitely a good place to. Pretty much everyone there is very active on that Discord.
I am not falling back with the Blade Champion. Blade Champion does not fall back.
Matt is bringing up the fact that whereas he fell back previously with some of his Custodes, he is not falling back with the Blade Champion.
Blade Champion's not falling
Anyway, though, if you are interested, definitely check out the link in the description where you'll see the Adeptus St. Louis Discord channel. Totally free to join. We don't have any paid incentives on there. It's just a big community of people who like the hobby. So definitely jump on there. And if you're local to St. Louis, you can probably get a game with one of the players that you see today or any of the players that you can find on that Discord channel.
thing and get yelled at by Tyson because I love Tyson. Tyson's such a great guy, and he's a great.
John actually brings up a really good point in chat with going for that small victory. So this has opened up a pretty interesting discussion with the 40k community at large. Not necessarily the case in this game. I think that this game has had some really good back and forth. I think we've got a pretty. I think Matt's pretty securely won this again, unless Jack has a big ace up his sleeve. But one of the things that gets brought up a lot is in any kind of war game like 40k, it doesn't matter whether you're playing 40k or Battletech or Kill Team or War Machine or Marvel Crisis Protocol or any of those games, sometimes you just end up in a losing situation. I know that I've definitely been there, and sometimes it can be really fun. It can be really hard to have a fun game when you're getting absolutely demolished. Again, not the case in this game. I think we've had a pretty good back and forth, all things considered. But that's definitely something that a lot of people talk about is, what do you do when you're having that bad game? Do you surrender? Do you forfeit the game? What do you do? Because the good sportsman in all of us always wants to make sure that we're, giving our opponent the respect and giving them the time of day to play their game and practice the game. But that's one thing that gets brought up a lot in the community is going for those small victories, especially in something like a narrative league. And that's one of the things that we did with this league. It's not actually coming into effect in this game, but for those of you who will watch previous games, you will have seen this. That's why we do the hidden agendas. Sometimes the game just won't go your way from the outset, but if you've got something else to play for, you can a lot of times make your own fun. That's why we have those in there. It's something that I've always liked. And sometimes, if you don't have an incentive like a hidden agenda or a secondary objective, that is part of some of the fun is, if you were playing a game and you lost your warlord, turn 1, they got sniped by a Necron death mark, wiped from the board, you didn't get to use them. Let's say it was Trajan this time. You brought your Trajan Valeris, you brought your Rabute Gilliman, big Primarch model, and he gets sniped turn 1. And sometimes, that's a rough way to start a game. Both statistically, but also just in the fun realm. You paint up this expensive model, and then it immediately gets taken off the table. So sometimes you can actually find that fun where in hunting down the model that has caused you grief. I know that specifically at some of our Apocalypse events that we've had, those are the massive 40K games, much bigger than what you'll see here. Tens of times bigger, if not even maybe 100 times bigger. I'll have to do the math on that next time we do an APOC game. Probably about 40 times bigger.
I know, my guys are short.
Sometimes you got that big Titan that just weighs, lays waste to the army, right? And you'll find that sometimes when you have something really bad happen, players will unite to go against that kind of threat. And it's always fun to see, and that's all part of that making your own fun thing. I know we've seen it in the 3 Apocalypse events that we've had so far. So definitely a good point. Got to go for the small victories sometimes.
Was it just as long as you have a character?
So long as your warlord dies and you have enough character, they become the warlord. Okay. It doesn't sound like this only happens once. I don't know. I'm just making sure I got these guys right.
Looks like the poll ended the night 50-50, dead even split. I'm not actually sure. I'll have to go and check the other poll results from the other streams. The other streams we've had. I don't know if we've had any other 50-50s so far. I'm getting to know from our tech director Tom. I don't think we're actually getting. I don't think we've had a 50-50 yet. So that's kind of exciting to see.
We're gonna be looking at. We're going to be looking at a solid strength 5, T4, right?
Yep.
So 3s.
Ooh, a lot of wounds. Big hurdy.
-2.
5 ups. I saved 3, so they all die. They are now judged.
Give me a hug.
You killed my friends.
And I'm punching you in the face so you can't shoot me.
Oh man, looks like we're getting into this mop-up operation here.
Shooting for you. We now go to E. So again, he's defending. I've got the fight first, so he goes and then I'd go. Okay. So you're up.
Okay, we're gonna go with the X boys. No.
Quick clarification with some of the charge rules, because since they've got a lot of pre-existing melee, but Matt also has a fight first unit, kind of complicates the rules. So we had discussed previously off mic what the order was going to be, just so that we would be able to go straight into it.
Thank goodness, 2 go through. Auto wound.
More auto wounds coming in.
Nothing. No AP.
I believe from the Land Fortress.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the Land Fortress.
Down to 3 wounds.
The Land Fortress is just dominating in this melee.
And now we go to the Blade Champion.
Time for the Blade Champion. Is the Blade Champion going to sit there and take that from the Land Fortress?
Now,
Yes.
We will see.
They don't count. Let's see, do I go with the Land Fortress and try and kill it now? Or do I bring it down? Or do I... Yeah, I'm going to... Fours are going to auto wound.
Only 1 4.
So that's 5 auto wounds.
Oh my gosh, a ton of autos
5 auto wounds.
from the Blade Champion. Is this where we see the Land Fortress go down?
5s.
Boom. Does it blow?
Does
It goes down.
explode?
Does it explode?
Oh, so close.
Not quite.
It's down.
All right. Now I'm going to try and take down your...
There it goes, which I think means Matt gets his bring it down.
Yep, bring it down.
He's got it. He's flipping the card.
With the fists first.
Again, I think that pretty well solidifies the game in Matt's favor, but he was able to get the Land Fortress down, so definitely a big victory and a small victory there.
To your...
What was the wound roll?
It was a 4.
It's 4? Okay, I'm just making sure. Nope. Damage?
2.
2? Okay, he's down to 2 wounds.
Okay, now the axes. 7. Threes?
We're breaking up.
2 at -3.
Hold on.
How did this work?
I just want to check something. So 2 at what?
-3.
So, do they have any other attacks coming in?
No, that's it.
So, I haven't gotten to do this yet. I will use the Eagle's Eye. 3 up. Wait, hold on. Before we go on those 2.
It's like Matt's going to use one of his relics for
5 up.
something.
So, here's these. 1 pass, 1 fail, damage.
Oh, looks like he was trying to shrug some mortals.
Oh, 2.
2. Okay, so that would kill him. I'm going to see if the 5 up field now saves him. It will not. It will not.
Yeah!
Oh my gosh.
Blade Champion's down.
Blade Champion goes
Take up the mantle
down.
again.
What a trade
Out of
there.
CP.
Blade
jumping
Champion for the
Quill and
Hecaton.
Shield. The guy with the purple, the guy with the cape with no wounds is now taken over.
So he's using his CP once again to transfer his warlord
Take up the mantle.
over to another shield captain.
So I guess you... No. Yeah, you haven't attacked with him, have you?
They attack. No, they haven't. Misers. Nope. Okay.
If I have my account, she has her. I keep track of mine. I know how to
8 into 5, so 3.
I'm more
6 at -2. 2 damage pop.
That's why when I had to read it,
So 12 damage total.
Didn't make any of them? So now I gotta...
mortgage was paid, and so one
More step, because there's one more dead.
wait.
Okay. Surprisingly a lot.
I didn't charge where I needed to.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn now.
All right, going into the bottom of the 5th. Jack's going to finish us out here.
Oh, yes, I did not attack with him.
I didn't charge here where I wanted to.
Oh wait, no. He's got one more fight he's got to do.
1 wound, no AP.
since I work
Would you be willing to charge me here so I can get the charge?
Okay, so I got area denial.
See, she is paid 15. Interesting. I get paid
I might actually be able to get that.
What is it?
I'd have to get the center of the board with one of my units and have.
That's what I have yet.
Yeah. So if I can kill that guy, I get it. Because I can get the bike in.
12 inches, right?
Yeah.
You have to kill him and him. Or just one.
No, he's outside of the.
12?
No, outside of the center.
Yeah, that was 12 inches from center.
No, that's my movement.
Oh, okay. It's either 9 or 12, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, right. We're strike force, so it is 12.
Yeah, so you can kill both.
It's possible.
Shoot one, charge the other.
Oh, right. 'Cause he has. You can put him right. Okay. What are the other ones? Actually, so I could get both of those if I somehow kill both of these units. So, shooting, I guess.
Moving into the shooting phase.
I'm gonna fire
So
everything at him, and then he's gonna fire everything at him.
So who's shooting?
We're gonna start with
interesting
him.
choices.
Everything there.
So
That's the adage. Okay. Moving on. Well, I guess four or threes, because it's strength. 5 at -2.
So I never see her. That's the way I just want to make it. As long as I have some.
2 fails. My battle scrap just crashed. It's cool. Damage on these, I assume 2 pop.
I think this one's only 1.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's only 1.
Well, he's dead. He dies.
and down goes
halfway there.
Frazier.
Whoa! Well, I don't think they are in range of anybody now. Nope. So they're only 18.
Again, as we move into these kind of final phases of the game,
Very.
we'll get the final score as we end the
Okay.
turn. I don't think Jack's got a
everything
whole
from
lot, so he's
Sagittar.
going. The Sagittar is going to be firing in, but otherwise, in general, I think we've got a pretty foregone conclusion. I'm going to wager. Again, unless something crazy happens, looks like Matt's pretty soundly won this game.
So 4 at -2.
But again, kind of going back to what John said in the chat, sometimes you got to go for those small victories, and I think that's what we've got here with Jack going after those last couple straggler hero units.
Okay.
Is really interesting. I'm
Okay, the highlight
with going into the list that Matt initially brought, told me up front that he was going to do Hero Hammer for this list. Lots of character units, which we've seen play to his advantage, being that he can pass the mantle of Warlord over from character to character to character. Really played to his advantage here in preventing him from losing out on access to his CP. But it is kind of interesting.
These, how much are these?
Each
These
week,
5?
when we do the announcements for the Narrative League, I don't actually post
Okay, so that's
all of the
10 plus the 7.
game types at the beginning of the week. I actually
17
post,
not
or I don't post them all at once. I
it?
post one at a time at the beginning of the week. And so it was kind of interesting. Matt wanted to run an execution force with his, what are they? The Ministorum Assassins. And you can't actually do that in Tempest 4, turns out. So he had to make a pretty quick about face for this match this week. But we're expecting to see that Assassination Force pop up next week, though Matt will not be one of our featured games next week. Reminder about next week, we're going to have Graham playing his Iron Hands versus Nick, who's going to be back for the second time on stream playing his Orcs. So you're going to see Graham Tevis, who is, again, one of our commentators featured playing against Nick, go a little bit into the backstory about these two guys, is that Nick is actually the person who taught Graham how to play 40K all those many moons ago when Graham first started playing. And if I recall correctly, having watched a lot of their games, I don't think Graham wins very often against Nick, so we might see an upset next week.
They don't have a. Oh, they do.
So definitely tune in for then, where we see Graham and Nick go at it with the Graham's Iron Hands versus Nick's Orcs. Definitely going to be an interesting game. And then following that, we are going to have a bonus week, which I'm going to keep a surprise for now. So you'll have to stay tuned for our bonus week 7. Where we are going, I will tell you the two players that we're going to have. It's going to be David Clark versus Michael Rose. But we've got a couple surprises in store for what we're wanting to do for that stream and some of the videos that will come out related to that episode. So definitely stay tuned for that week. We're definitely excited to bring that match over to you.
2 at -4.
Wrapping up this final combat here in the center of the board. One of the Sagittarium goes down.
2 auto wounds, 1 hit. No. So 2 auto wounds at -2.
1 set, 1 fail.
It's, what's their save characteristic? 2? Okay, so it takes 3 damage. Because it's a graviton, so it increases. So it goes from 2 to 3.
Wait, just the
one that,
or their damage?
the damage goes up based on if your save is 3 or better.
Well, they have a 2 upset.
Yeah, that's
So,
better.
one of the things that's interesting with the hammer that is being used is actually gravity weapon.
Characteristic of 3 or better.
So that's one of the fun things with gravity weapons. You don't see a ton of gravity weapons in 40K nowadays. Typically that was used by what are kind of known as old Marines or Space Marine Devastator squads, which were much more popular in editions preceding 9th edition. Space Marines underwent a pretty heavy range refresh, for those of you who are unaware, with the Primaris Space Marine line that got launched in 8th edition. But the Space Marine Devastators were like a heavy weapons team, and one of the weapons that they could be outfitted with was a gravity cannon. And the way that it essentially worked is if you had a really high armor save, then it did more damage. And that's actually the case for the weapon that Jack's using here. Since Custodes have the highest save in the game, which is a 2-up save, he has brought a gravity weapon. So kind of interesting to see one of those. You don't see gravity weapons very often unless someone's fielding, a classic Space Marine list with all of the old style Space Marines. So interesting to see that.
Five at -3.
Ooh,
Damage?
that's a couple damage right there.
I think it's 2 apiece.
2 damage pop. 1 dead Terminator.
So they die now.
But they were fighting on death, so 1 dead Terminator, but it's like the rest of them are gone.
The character can apply his wounds to the bots, right?
Yep.
To the not character.
Oh, interesting. So, essentially, the last remaining character unit,
Minus
that mechanic, any wounds that he takes, he can actually shift over to those
4-ups.
or the Ironkin that are with him. So kind of interesting little mechanic there. It's very similar to the Tau savior protocols with the shield drones and marker drones. So interesting to see. It's so interesting to see the role that Leagues of Votann actually play. With that, they're going to call it. That is game. I'm going to go and get a final score tally and sign off for the week. So I will be right back.
So I should have 58.
Chad and Steve.
To your probably 80 something.
How many secondaries did you get?
6.
6, so 5 each, so 30.
And then I had 7 for 4 turns, so that's 28.
No, you had 7 for only 3. Turn 2, you didn't get it. Because it's at the command phase.
Oh, okay.
So
So 52.
40, I've got 40, 46 is what I got. Because it'd be the 50, it'd be the 50 if you had a turn 2.
I got mine for free.
51 is because 7 times 3 is 21.
21, yeah. Got it.
So, release.
Yeah.
We'll figure out sometime this summer we'll go on vacation with the wife and kids.
Another one takes 1 damage. And another 2 rolls for 5.
Good game.
And with that, we've got our players shaking hands. Got the final score tally.
Yeah, I
Matt
said
came in with 82 points. Jack was able to come back with 51, so still Matt's game. But definitely a good game. I think overall,
10 points.
good back and forth there. Definitely love to see it. Fun matchup. Leagues of Votann versus Custodes. Not a matchup you necessarily see every day in sort of a narrative sense. Not something that you see a lot in the lore, but definitely cool to see these two play styles kind of go head to head. Both very tough play styles. Both not exactly known for mobility. And seeing the players kind of play a lot around those weaknesses. Again, I think that key moment was Matt being able to lock Jack in his deployment zone. I think had he been able to break out a little sooner and a little more effectively, we might have seen a different game here today. But definitely a great game for this week. Once again, come back next week, same bat time, same bat place. We will have our week 6 match with Graham Tevis and his Iron Hands versus Nick Elief with his Orcs. Very excited to see that match play out. So definitely come back next week. One last time, just a reminder, if you liked what you see, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to go even further, go ahead and share us on your social. We would love to be able to have your support in that way and bring new people into the community. And of course, lastly, don't forget to check out the bit.ly link in the description. That way, if there's anything that you see here today that you're thinking, maybe I would be interested in picking up some Leagues of Votann, maybe I'd be interested in picking up some Custodes, or maybe you're already a seasoned player and you're looking to play at home, you want to pick up some of the terrain that we have featured here today, you can follow that bit.ly link to the Miniature Market website. So definitely check that out. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. With that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. This is Chandler Spradling signing off. See you all next week. Thanks, everybody.
An entire solar watch.
I got okay. Yeah, I saw like all your knights. How did you get one knight over here?
So like, we had this weird deployment, right, where we start half, and go into the corner, and he put dudes over here, and he put his castle like right there. So I'm like, okay, well, up here, 12 inches, and then 12 inches, then he advanced for another 5, so 17 inches in. And then, because like 20 inches of the board, and then he charge. Into the two, he's just like, all right, well, I'll
Yeah,
get
I
it
was
out.
just had to look.
Thank you for watching Miniature Market's live stream of our Warhammer 40K Narrative League at our St. Peters, Missouri retail store. Tune into our YouTube channel this Saturday, February 25th, as we live stream our Corvus Belli Infinity Tournament. Please like and subscribe, and be sure to use the bit.ly link in the description down below to visit miniaturemarket.com and help support our efforts.